Chapter 36 Gatekeeping. At the same time, Wei Xiao appeared in Ah Shu's live broadcast room and sent out super rockets. Min's live room was instantly buzzing with activity. It's broken, Emperor Xiao has gone to see the host area. It looks like Min can't attract Emperor Xiao anymore. No way, Xiao Huang actually chose a man. Min was a bit unresponsive at first. But soon she realized that Wei Xiao had actually gone to see the host area. This was something that made Min feel very uneasy. Although she had added Wei Xiao's friend last night. But judging from the results, it didn't seem to be as good as Min expected. Wei Xiao hadn't said much to her at all. Moreover, Min had also discovered that Wei Xiao's friend circle was clean with nothing in it. This made Min completely unable to fathom Wei Xiao's situation. Now, Wei Xiao simply didn't look at her and ran off to watch someone play a game. Could it be that men like technical ones more after all? Min was a bit puzzled. It's normal for Emperor Xiao to go and look at console games once in a while, that's normal. You guys are making too much of a fuss. Min's heart was uneasy for a while, but on the surface, he still appeared very calm and collected. However, in the live broadcast room, the topic heat didn't drop at all. Min had no choice but to follow public opinion and went to check Ah Shu's room. As soon as he entered the room, he saw Shu's character, once again collapsed in the zombie horde. But the picture was processed, so it wasn't too gory, and a lot of places were changed into mosaics. But a little girl like Min was still a bit uncomfortable. Does Emperor Xiao like to watch this kind of game? Min was confused for a moment in her heart. Wei Xiao got off not long after sending a private message to Ah Shu. He came to see Ah Shu mainly to give a gift and send a private message, so when Min came to check on him, he was already down. Leaving Min alone, he stayed in Ah Shu's live room for half a day and didn't see his silhouette. As for Wei Xiao, who didn't watch the live broadcast, he went to watch a TV series. Well, it wasn't for entertainment, it was just as much for doing business. Aside from the gaming industry, the TV series industry was also a genre that Wei Xiao knew more about. As far as he knew, it was still very easy to make a TV series that wanted to spend money. It didn't matter if it made money or not, the main thing was to spend it fast. Finding one or two popular traffic stars to come, just the movie fee alone would have to start at tens of millions of dollars. Plus other messy, spend up money that is not the same as running water. In addition to the game, it's another good way to spend money. During the night, Wei Xiao spent all his time watching dramas. It was only in the second half of the night that Wei Xiao put down his cell phone. Don't say it, this drama was pretty good to watch. The next day, Wei Xiao slept until noon. After getting up and taking a shower, it didn't take long for his cell phone to ring. Cousin Yi Chen is finally arriving. However, Wei Xiao had already made plans for today, so she didn't drive when she left the house. Instead, she took a taxi and ran to the high-speed rail station to pick up someone. The crowd at the high-speed rail station was still huge. The only thing that made Wei Xiao more fortunate was that this world didn't have the flu that was sweeping the globe. This made it so that he didn't even need to wear a mask when he went out. After sitting in the waiting area and waiting for a while, Yi Chen also finally appeared in Wei Xiao's line of sight. Brother! From a big distance, Yi Chen took a glance at Wei Xiao. Wei Xiao also followed the voice and greeted him with a smile. Crap, brother, your clothes look pretty good. Yi Chen couldn't help but sigh as soon as he got close to Wei Xiao. However, when Yi Chen took another closer look, he had a new feeling. Brother, did you go for plastic surgery? Fart. Wei Xiao cursed without a good mood, and Yi Chen hemmed and hawed. Nope, brother, how come it feels like it's only been half a year since I've seen you? Why do you seem to have gotten a lot more handsome? No, just handsome. Look at your this eyes, mouth, nose, eyebrows of. How do you feel in New Year's Eve that moment, so much difference? Wei Xiao took one of Yi Chen's suitcases by hand and casually said. Secondary development, get it. Get it. Yi Chen laughed for a while and didn't say much. His mind, at this moment, was on his little girlfriend. Right, what about Xiao Cheng? Wei Xiao suddenly spoke up. Call out and have a meal together. Brother, why are you so generous today? Yi Chen looked at Wei Xiao with some suspicion and frowned slightly. You used to refuse to pay me even $20 for the phone bill. That can be the same? Wei Xiao whitened her eyes at this cheap younger brother and pulled the person into a taxi. Are you going to eat or not? Eat. Yi Chen happily said, Brother, wait, I'll send a message to Xiao Cheng. Not 2 minutes later, Yi Chen's side was done. Okay, your siblings will go out in a while. Brother, where are we going to eat? Wei Xiao had long thought of a place. Find a small restaurant, we'll have a drink. Okay, whatever. Yi Chen was also born poor and didn't have much of an opinion on this. Mainly in his eyes, Wei Xiao's life was not generous either. After all, Wei Xiao had only just graduated from college and found a job. He was also working in a big city like Magic City, and his monthly expenses were not low. Wei Xiao also took these in her eyes. Yi Chen is still a good person, the three views are very positive, sometimes although the nature of the jump off some, but after all, is still young polished for a few years, the nature will naturally be more stable. Half an hour later. Only half a street away from Wei Xiao's home, in a restaurant. Wei Xiao finally met his future sister-in-law for the second time. The little girl was a bit quiet and her personality was quite sunny. The clothes on her body are obviously some branded clothing, plus soon will also be the third year of college, the face is also beginning to spend some makeup. But overall, Wei Xiao is still quite satisfied. The dishes have already been ordered. Wei Xiao did not follow the most expensive two, but in accordance with his monthly salary of 4 or 5,000 standard point. Affordable is affordable, 2 meat, 3 vegetarian, plus a soup. It was more than enough for 3 people to eat. Make do. Wei Xiao took the initiative to speak. It's fine, we're all family. Yi Chen was not polite, he came up and opened the wine, then poured it full for the two. Xiaoqing also smiled and didn't say anything more. This was the second time she had met this cousin of Yi Chen's, and she was still a bit put out. Wei Xiao picked up her wine glass. What are you two planning after this? What can I plan? First graduate from college, then we'll see. Yi Chen said somewhat unconcernedly. On the contrary, it was Xiaoqing on the side, who was a bit eager to speak. Wei Xiao immediately went up and gave Yi Chen a slap. Asshole, people, little girl followed you, you just mix it up? In the future, do you plan to go back and develop, or stay in the Magic City? No matter what, then there has to be a goal. Facing Wei Xiao's reprimand, Yi Chen said somewhat helplessly. That's not up to me, I do want to develop in Magic City. But brother, you also know how expensive the prices and house prices are in Magic City. How can my family afford to buy a house here? Wei Xiao didn't continue to accuse Yi Chen, but looked at Xiaoqing. What about Xiaoqing? Are you willing to go with my brother, to live in the old country? Chapter 37, Huazhou Courtyard. Facing Wei Xiao's sole questioning, Xiaoqing was also hesitant. Their family, in fact, had a very good environment, and both parents were in the working establishment. The family also has only one daughter, Wenqing, who was naturally raised in a pampered manner. Plus people, girls, and understand, character and good body looks, that is also the top choice. To be honest, there is really no shortage of people to pursue in college. Wei Xiao did not understand, his cheap cousin, how to chase people to the hand. So Wei Xiao's question, Xiaoqing herself didn't have a decision until now. She knew that if her parents knew about it, they would never agree. The Hall of Magic City account book, how many people want to do cannot do down. Find a local one, isn't it good? This married to the field, can really be considered a low marriage. Xiaoqing was a bit hesitant, and couldn't make a decision for a while. Wei Xiao did not continue to ask. On the contrary, it is the side of Yi Chen, some cannot sit still. Brother, you think of this, is not a little far away. You know shit. Wei Xiao glared at Yi Chen and directly said. You are young now, but in a few years? Other girls' great years, following you is such a waste? Hearing this, Xiaoqing also finally spoke up. Actually, I'm all right on my own. The main thing is that inside the family. My parents also know Xiaoqing, but they also don't want me to marry outside the country. Wei Xiao thought about it. Then what do you think? Xiaoqing thought for a few seconds before saying. I think that when two people are together, living a life is the most important thing. Even if it's with little Sam and the days are a bit bitter, that's fine. But if it's marrying out of town, I can't explain it to my parents' side. If I can, I hope that I can rely on myself with little Sam, and buy even just a small apartment in Magic City. It's not impossible to slowly pay off the mortgage in the future. Xiaoqing's words had touched Yi Chen. Wei Xiao, however, took a closer look at Xiaoqing. The girl's eyes revealed a hint of determination, a hint of fearlessness, and a hint of guilt. A little girl who could say such words to a man. Either she was lying or she had made a major determination. Considering that in Wei Xiao's own situation, the circumstances of Xiao Chun in the future would be immeasurable. So for this younger sibling, Wei Xiao was also on the ball. Avoiding Chen Shui's situation, once again. But now, for Xiao Chang, Wei Xiao was really very satisfied. Even if it was for the sake of this rather difficult love between the two, Wei Xiao felt that she should do something. Don't worry, everything will be fine in the future. Wei Xiao drank a sip of wine, and her mood was much more relaxed. The second half of the meal was a very active atmosphere. With Yi Chen being such a living treasure, the three of them ate happily. After leaving the restaurant, Wei Xiao found an excuse and left first. You accompany Xiao Qing for a stroll, I still have things to do. Wei Xiao smiled. Yi Chen was also busy spending alone time for two with his girlfriend at this moment, and naturally agreed immediately to Wei Xiao's proposal. Okay, brother, you go and get busy. Wei Xiao looked at the young couple's happy appearance, couldn't help but sigh and silently turned around to leave. Dog food, that was resolutely not eaten. Taking a car, Wei Xiao went straight to the real estate agent. The place Wei Xiao picked was the closest agency to him, and it was also quite a well-known one. With the previous to buy a car is different. Today's Wei Xiao, as soon as he entered the door, he was targeted by as many as 5 salesmen. Even Yi Chen, a poor boy, could tell that Wei Xiao's outfit was not simple. Can these salesmen, who are generally human geniuses, not see it? Before Wei Xiao could react, the two nearest sales, taking advantage of the geographical advantage, immediately came up. Hello sir, are you here to see the house? The two men spoke in unison and looked at each other at the same time again. Wei Xiao swept the two, a man and a woman. Buying a house. As soon as Wei Xiao's words fell, the two men spoke up. Male sales, then sir, let me introduce you to the listings. Female sales, sir, may I ask how many price points you intend to look at? Wei Xiao subconsciously turned around and looked at the female sales. It had to be said that in front of Wei Xiao, this kind of straightforward relationship was more to his liking. $70 million up or down. As soon as Wei Xiao's words fell, the several guests around him, as well as the two saleswomen, sucked in a breath of cool air. But Wei Xiao's words weren't over yet. I want the full payment in one go, and I want it fast. Tomorrow at the latest, I want to finalize this. Wei Xiao's mission was timed for a maximum of 3 days. And today was already the second day. So Wei Xiao needed to spend the money in a hurry. The male salesman had just lost the lead and was planning to move up at this point. But the female salesman, how could he give him this chance? Yes, sir. We agents are the fastest. Guarantee you can finalize the matter today and get the keys tomorrow. With those words, the female salesman came up and smiled at Wei Xiao. Sir, you go this way? With those words, she led Wei Xiao towards the other side. When the male salesman saw this, he could only feel a pang of angina. There were times when the opportunity was just that momentary. Sir, my surname is Li, you can just call me Xiao Li. What is your name, sir? My surname is Wei. Okay, sir. Xiao Li brought Wei Xiao to a rest area and took out a set of photo albums. You can take a look, sir, these are the listings that start at $60 million. The upper limit is within $100 million, some of them are finely decorated and some are rough houses that you can decorate yourself. Looking at the set of listings inside the album, Wei Xiao fell into thought. Greenland Amber Bund, close to Huangpu Riverside, with a wide view and excellent lighting. Price, from 160,000 square meters, total area of about 420 square meters, total price of 67.2 million. Lujiazui Riverside Court, located in Riverside Avenue, with beautiful environment and rich vegetation. Price, from 140,000 total area of 500 square meters, total price of 70 million. Huazhou Courtyard, the top rich villa area, mostly inhabited by top streams of business, politics and entertainment circle. Selling price, from 225,000 total area 400 square meters, total price 90 million. Well, each set was able to make him, a week ago, blink his eyes. But Wei Xiao still quickly made his choice. This set of Huazhou Courtyard, why is it so cheap? Before Wei Xiao came, he also searched the top neighborhoods in Magic City in the car. This Huazhou Courtyard can easily cost several $100 million. How come this set is so cheap? Sir, it's like this. Xiaoli held back the ecstasy in his heart and patiently said. Normally, the total area of Huazhou Courtyard is over 1,000 square feet. And this suite you're looking at, in terms of area, is much worse. That's why price-wise, it's so much cheaper. But in fact, a villa of more than 400 square feet is completely enough to live in. Wei Xiao couldn't help but say as soon as he heard it, "Can we go take a look?" Xiaoli was on the verge of fainting from happiness. Of course, if you're interested. Chapter 38, One Bite Price. More than an hour later. Huazhou Courtyard, which was the top villa neighborhood in terms of Magic City. Wei Xiao brought Xiaoli and rode the free self-service bicycle, slowly stopping at one side. Wei Xiao had been drinking, so he didn't drive. Xiaoli saw that Wei Xiao didn't even drive, so he thought about it and didn't mention the car. Unexpectedly, Wei Xiao really took her to pedal the bike. Who let the customer is God. Xiaoli silently consoled himself in his heart and followed by squeezing out a smile. Sir, this is the place. Xiaoli pointed to a large garden in front of him. Where? Wei Xiao looked at the garden, somewhat unable to react. It's this garden in front of you, that's it. Xiaoli brought Wei Xiao to the front door and pulled out the key, saying although the living area of this listing is not large. But its garden area, that's really a rare big one in the entire Huazhou Courtyard. The entire garden, it's more than 1,800 square feet. After Wei Xiao heard this, the person froze. What the hell? What the hell is a garden nearly 2,000 square feet? One must know that a standard basketball court is only about 400 square feet. This garden is equivalent to 4 basketball courts? Xiaoli led the way in front, not noticing Wei Xiao's expression in the slightest, and said to himself. This suite is overall a single-family house except for the garden. The 2 floors above ground total 400 square meters, and there's a cellar underneath, which is also about 300 square meters. Inside the villa is a total of 7 rooms, 3 halls, and 6 baths. And this villa is finely decorated, sir, as long as you are sure. You can turn in your bag anytime. Xiaoli was in front, his mouth crackling with words. Wei Xiaoman was in the back, his expression was grave as he looked at this luxurious villa in front of him that he had never seen before. Well, a house like this will soon be one's own. After repeatedly admonishing himself in his heart a few times, Wei Xiao finally recognized the reality. What do you say about this house, how much is it? Wei Zhao's sudden opening interrupted Xiao Li's narration. This listing, the landlord is selling it for $90 million. If you, sir, are paying in full, then it can still be cheaper. Of course, the exact price still needs your negotiation with the landlord. Wei Xiao nodded. Go ahead and call the landlord, this suite. I'll take it. Xiaoli struggled to take 2 deep breaths before finally confirming that he wasn't dreaming today. How hard was it to sell a house in Huazhou Courtyard? To give an example, the suite where the 2 are now was put up in 16 years. 5 years had passed so far. But Wei Xiao was the only one willing to come and see the house. The other guests, that didn't even bring it in to see it. Mr. Wait a moment. I'll go call the landlord right now. Xiaoli was bursting with excitement and followed him out of the villa to make a call. Wei Xiao sat on the sofa and silently fell into thought. $90 million, he could afford it. However, he didn't want to keep any of the furniture and stuff left behind by the homeowner. So at that time, buying furniture and stuff would be another expense. Wei Xiao still had $91.3 million on hand, so if he could pay back a little bit, it would be just enough to buy furniture and stuff. The efficiency on Xiao Li's side was also quite high. After a few minutes though, he brought Wei Xiao a shortcut. Mr. Wei, the owner of the house is in Shanghai. He said that he has time in the evening. At that time, if you have time, he is ready to invite you to have a meal and talk on the table. Wei Xiao, in response, was frowning slightly. You talk to someone, this suite, 80 million, I'll pay it now. Xiao Li showed a difficult face. This. Mr. Wei, you're cutting the price a little too hard. I'm afraid the homeowner won't agree. Wei Xiao was calm and straightforward. $80 million in cash, isn't it more direct than coming in installments? And I'm not going to keep anything he left behind. You talk to someone, and if it's possible, I'll go and purchase things today. And move in tomorrow. Once Xiaoli heard this, she also knew that Wei Xiao did want to buy. After thinking about it, she could only go ahead and give the homeowner a call. But the result, naturally, was disagreeable. Mr. Wei. Shaoli said somewhat nervously, the human homeowner said that 80 million is impossible. But you are surprisingly so interested, people are also willing to lower the price a bit. 85 million, you can sign right here and have the house in your name. Wei Xiao lowered her head, her eyes rolling for a while. 83 million, sign here. Otherwise, let's just look at other places. I'm paying full price anyway, there will always be someone willing to lower the price for me. Don't you think so? Shaoli also understood Wei Xiao's meaning. This person in front of him is really rich, and it's not like it has to be just this set. Anyway, the person is going to buy it anyway. If she doesn't buy this set and buys something else, it's still counted as her performance. Shaoli's heart is instantly open. After leaving the villa, Shaoli contacted into the phone. Mr. Jiang. My guest has set 83 million one-bite price. Mr. Wei is in the house right now. If you're really willing to sell, you can come over right now. I'll go prepare the contract immediately. Mr. Wei said one-bite price, as long as you agree, pay immediately. Full payment. On the other end of the phone, Mr. Jiang was dissatisfied. I hung this suite at 90 million, 85 million is already a concession. Out of this door, but not this price. Shaoli did not eat this set at all. She has already recognized Wei Xiao at this moment and is definitely going to buy the house. More than $80 million to buy a house in full, a large number of people are willing to sell it at a reduced price. Mr. Jiang, it's really not that I won't help you. Man, Mr. Wei, that's a full payment. You have to know, a $100 million listing, buying it in full is just a bite-sized price of $90 million or less. A lot of people are willing to make a bid. If you really hesitate for these 2 million, Mr. Wei also said that you can go back and look at other properties. But what happens then, I really can't say. Shaoli was telling the truth, many people selling their houses were momentarily short of money. $100 million house, cheap $10 million out, more than a few people are willing. So of the two parties, Wei Xiao was the one in the least hurry. Mr. Jiang seemed to have thought of something after hesitating for a while at this moment. Alright, I'll go over there. Are you sure you can pay in full today? Shaoli's heart skipped a beat and said seriously. Of course, Mr. Wei has promised to pay in full today. Good, I'll be there in an hour, go prepare the contract. Hanging up the phone, Shaoli looked at the large garden in front of him and only felt that the world was so beautiful. How is it done? Wei Xiao's voice suddenly rang. Shaoli turned back and saw none other than Wei Xiao's handsome and compelling face bathed in sunlight. Shaoli, who was nearing 30 and had yet to get married, straightened his gaze for a moment. Such a character, handsome and gold. Shaoli clenched her teeth hard, shocking herself out of her impracticality. Then, with a flushed face, she enthusiastically said, It must be all done, Mr. Wei. The homeowner will be here in a moment to sign the contract with you. Chapter 39. Buying. After confirming things, Shaoli made a fiery trip back to the company. Because Wei Xiao had requested that the furniture must all be packed out within today. The good thing is that real estate agencies and moving companies also have a lot of contact. Shaoli quickly arranged for people. After rushing back with the contract, as well as the vast moving fleet, the homeowner, Mr. Jiang, also arrived. Mr. Jiang was in his 50s and didn't look very rich. Even Wei Xiao had a vague feeling that this Mr. Jiang didn't even seem like a rich man. Hello, Mr. Jiang. After shaking hands with the other party briefly, the two entered the villa. Accompanying them was the enthusiastic Shaoli. 83 million, full payment, right? After both parties sat down, Mr. Jiang asked again as if he was uneasy. Of course, full payment. Wei Xiao took the contract handed over by Shaoli, and after roughly confirming it, he signed it. Mr. Jiang then also breathed a long sigh of relief and signed after him. After everything was handed over, Wei Xiao paid the full amount on the spot. Mr. Jiang, I don't need any of the furniture at home. Do you see to it that things are sent back to you, or what? Wei Xiao got up to see off the guests while still not forgetting to say. Who knew that, Mr. Jiang was straightforward. I don't need the furniture either, you see to it. Wei Xiao immediately nodded. Okay, then I'll pack it up directly. Mr. Jiang, who received the payment, left in a hurry, seemingly not wanting to stay longer. Looking at Wei Xiao was a moment of puzzlement. The good thing was that what happened after that was very simple. Under the moving team brought by Xiaoli, the things in the house were quickly transported away. Mr. Wei, are you sure you don't want all the furniture in the house? Xiaoli was a bit hesitant and said, if we put it in the second-hand market, it should be able to sell for quite a bit of money as well. Wei Xiao nodded and said, then you look after it. What to do with it then, it's all in your hands. Xiaoli was however a bit frozen. These furniture, the original less how to say a small million Even if it was the second-hand market, it wouldn't be too cheap. 300,000 or 400,000 is always there. But now, the person Wei Xiao surprisingly do not care at all. But Small Li is also a real person, just sold Wei Xiao so expensive house, is also very on the heart. Okay, then I'll take care of it for you. Afterward, our company will take some brokerage fees. This is all something we need to talk to you about in advance. No problem. Wei Xiao waved his hand, sort of knowing about this. Contact me again when you've dealt with it later. After adding the FMS and number, Xiaoli quickly left as well. With such a large contract, she also had to hurry back to report to the company. Together with the furniture, it was also something that needed to be dealt with. In the empty villa, Wei Xiao was the only one left for a while. Calling up the system and taking a look, there was still 3 million left. It was always enough to buy furniture and stuff. Wei Xiao pulled out his cell phone and looked at the time, realizing that it was only 4:30 p.m. After thinking about it, Wei Xiao immediately called his cheap brother's number. How's the shopping going? Drinking milk tea with Xiaoqing. What's up, brother? Wei Xiao was silent for 2 seconds before slowly saying. Take a taxi, go to Home City. Go to Home Furnishing City for what? Brother, you want to buy furniture? Well, I'll be there in a while, so hurry up and go. Oh, okay, I'll take a cab right away. Hanging up the phone, Wei Xiao hesitated for a few seconds. In the end, he tucked away his cell phone and silently walked out of the villa. Half an hour later, Magic City Home Plaza. Yi Chen, who was blindly wandering around, spotted Wei Xiao, who had gotten out of the taxi, at a glance. Brother, why did you properly think of buying furniture? Wei Xiao looked at his brother inside. Brother has something to say to you. What is it, brother? Yi Chen looked at Wei Xiao's somewhat different look and couldn't help but be nervous. Nothing will happen, right? Bullshit. Wei Xiao's mind, which had just calmed down a bit, was once again provoked. Before I get down to business with you, I have to make one thing clear to you. That is, no matter what I say, you mustn't say anything to your family. You can't say it even if you die, know it. Yi Chen also became more and more nervous when he saw this. Brother, you don't really have something, do you? Not only Yi Chen, Xiaoqing, who accompanied him on the side, all followed and became nervous. Wei Xiao let out a long sigh and patted Yi Chen's shoulder. You have to keep it a secret, know it. No, brother, you say it quickly. Wei Xiao looked around and saw that no one was paying attention, then he said in a serious manner. In fact, your brother, I'm not your aunt's biological, my real father is actually a billionaire. Brother, we can be serious, not? Okay. Actually, your brother won the lottery. What the hell? Yi Chen stared wide-eyed with an expression of caring for mentally retarded children. Wei Xiao also didn't hesitate to give her cheap brother a loving brain crash. I really won the lottery. I won quite a lot. I used the money to buy a villa in Magic City. The rest of the money, ready to buy some more furniture. Don't tell your parents about this, and don't tell my parents, got it? Yi Chen slowed down for a long time, but didn't slow down. Brother, how much did you win? $90 million. How much? $90 million. Brother, you give me a little more, maybe the wine is still not awake. No problem. Bang. Crap, brother, you really come. Looking at Yi Chen's aggrieved face, Wei Xiao also couldn't help but laugh. Alright, go in and buy furniture. Yi Chen looked at his cousin dumbfounded, walking into the home city like no one else, still a little less awake. Xiaoqing, do you think my brother really won the lottery? Xiaoqing looked at the pair of brothers, and for a moment was at a loss for words. Looking at your brother, it seems like it's not a lie. $90 million? Your brother said it seemed like $90 million. Bought a villa? Your brother said it seems like he bought a villa. Can I pop you in the head? Yi Chen didn't feel like laying his hands on his little girlfriend after all, and Xiaoqing was also rare in not getting angry. Because she was also not reacting at this moment. What are you two doing? Come in quickly. Wei Xiao went and returned, looking at the two of them as a confused little couple, and was furious. If we don't hurry up, it's going to be dark. The group of three had just entered the home city when they were received. Ever since Wei Xiao changed his line, the effect was also immediate. These salesmen were all very sharp-eyed, although Yi Chen and Xiaoqing's clothes were not considered rich. But Wei Xiao can't afford to wear hundreds of thousands of dollars off. Next, Yi Chen and Xiaoqing then completely entered the onlooker mode. This bed is good, how much? From $280,000, now doing activities. Buy it. This cabinet is good, how much? This set of cabinets has been on sale recently, it's only $680,000. Bought. This bathroom seems to be good, how much? This sanitary ware is the latest model imported from Germany, it only costs. Buy it. As the shopping proceeded, Yi Chen realized for the first time that his cousin was so impatient. Because by the second half of the shopping, Wei Xiao simply stopped asking for prices. Chapter 40: Yi Chen's Worry. Wei Xiao originally brought the two of them with Yi Chen because he wanted the two of them to help pick out a few. But after actually entering the store, he realized. These two people simply don't know anything. Not only do not understand, but also from the beginning to the end. A little advice do not know to mention. Under no circumstances, Wei Xiao can only be personally manipulated. Although Wei Xiao does not know much. But he will spend money off. As the money was spent, Wei Xiao's mood gradually became happier. The task was almost done. When the last set of chairs was bought, Wei Xiao could no longer think of any more furniture that he needed to buy. Along with that, his $3 million was left with less than $100,000. It could be said to be just right. As for Yi Chen and Xiaoqing at this moment, they had gone from shocked to numb. The two of them had watched Wei Xiao, with their own eyes, buy over $8 million worth of furniture. This could buy a small apartment in Magic City. Sir, please leave your address, we'll send it to you as soon as possible. The initial receptionist had been replaced with a regional manager at this moment. After all, for a guest like Wei Xiao who possessed super strong purchasing power, an ordinary receptionist was really not giving him face. The manager's attitude was very kind and amiable. Wei Xiao only felt a spring breeze. Okay, add a FMS, I'll send it to you. By the way, I'm hoping to get these done tonight, I'm planning to move straight into my new home tomorrow. It was almost 6 o'clock by this time, and logically, they were all about to get off work as well. But with a big patron like Wei Xiao giving the word, what reason did the manager have to push back? The customer is God. The manager immediately nodded his head and promised to send it over to Wei Xiao later. Wei Xiao had intended to go to dinner with his siblings, but after thinking about it, he simply threw the key to the other party. You see to it, turn around and I'll come get the keys tomorrow. Wei Xiao throws his hands in the palm of the cupboard when it is comfortable. But the human manager directly to the hole will not. The first time I saw a guest so trusting of merchants. But considering Wei Xiao's handiwork, the manager can only take the job. From the obstruction? Lack of labor and materials? That's impossible. How would a small manager like him dare to do that to a rich man like this? If he pissed off the other side, he would die without even knowing how. Wei Xiao also knew this, so he wasn't worried at all. Taking his siblings with him, he left home city. And this night, the manager was busy until the latter part of the night, before finally placing Wei Xiao's new home completely properly. Of course, this is all an afterthought. What do you guys want to eat? Wei Xiao asked subconsciously as he exited the door, but what responded to him was a burst of unease from Yi Chen. Brother, did you really win the lottery? When did that happen? Why didn't you tell your aunt and uncle? What would the two of them do if they knew you did it? Wei Xiao, faced with this barrage of questions, only replied. I spent the money with my own skills, what's there to do? Yi Chen sucked in a breath of cool air. But this money. Is the money you won the lottery? Back home, $90 million, that can buy 50 houses. Wei Zhao's hometown was in a small fifth-tier city in Hui province, and a house averaged a little over $1 million. Even if it was a mansion, $4 or $5 million would be a lot. $90 million, that's also a dozen or 20 sets to start with. But now, Wei Xiao all used to buy villas. No, bought villas. Yi Chen's face became colorful all of a sudden and shivered. Brother, your set of villas, how much did it cost? It's just over $80 million. Yi Chen took a breath without slowing down and almost fainted. Look at you like that, no talent. Wei Xiao patted Yi Chen's back and said in relief. Don't worry, the villa is very big, there is a place for you to live. After a pause, Wei Xiao turned her head to Xiao Cheng again. Well, there is also a place for younger siblings to live. But I can say goodbye, you two can't be in the same house. If something happens, I won't take the blame. Wei Xiao's words made Xiao Cheng on the side instantly turn red. Yi Chen, however, was dissatisfied. If I don't live in the same room with Xiao Cheng, I still live in the same room with you. Nice try, I don't live with you. Wei Xiao glared viciously at Yi Chen before leading the two to the restaurant. The one they went to was the Japanese restaurant that he and Lu Kai went to earlier. When they arrived at the place, Yi Chen was a noob. But Xiao Qing recognized the place. Are we eating here? Xiao Qing said with some uneasiness. I've heard of this place, it's expensive. Xiao Qing had a college friend whose family did business and had mentioned this place. She heard that a meal would start at least $10,000. However, Wei Xiao waved his hand and said, that meal at noon was too casual, I'll go cash in my lottery ticket this afternoon. Now that you have money, you can't eat a good meal. Yi Chen, at this time, also finally accepted the fact that Wei Xiao had won the lottery. However, he did not agree with Wei Xiao's corrupt behavior like this. Brother, although you won the lottery, but that was a one-time thing after all. You just sold the villa and bought so much furniture. If you don't save some money, what can you do later? Wei Xiao had, however, long planned for this. It's fine, I've already invested a sum of money out, I'll be able to earn money soon. Looking at his own brother's behavior like this, Yi Chen did not know what to say for a while. Yi Chen and Xiao Qing secretly glanced at each other, both reading the same meaning from each other's eyes. Brother was no longer sober at this moment. He must be nudged awake early to do so. After the three of them entered the store, Wei Xiao ordered a table full of dishes just like last time. Yi Chen and Xiao Qing's eyes went straight as they watched. Although Xiao Qing was from a good family, she had never been to such a high-class place. Yi Chen was even more so. Under Wei Xiao's greeting, the two of them also had a rare good meal. The flavor is good, come back next time when you have time. Before leaving, Wei Xiao couldn't get enough of it and said. But Yi Chen was quick to say. It's better to wait for your investment, brother, to return the capital. It's not important what to eat. Yi Chen was thinking of saving money for Wei Xiao, and Xiao Cheng on the side was also quick to agree. However, this action of the two men made Wei Xiao wary. How is it that his own brother is so blind? What is not good to learn others. Zhang Haining. One thinks of ways to send money to himself, and the other thinks of ways to save money for himself. Is this good? That's not good. Bullying an old comrade who has only 90 days to live. It's not martial arts. After eating, Wei Xiao looked at the money he had left. Taking advantage of the gap in the taxi, Wei Xiao surreptitiously rushed the extra tens of thousands of dollars, all of it, to the wharfish. The mission prompt, too, rang out at the right time. However, Wei Xiao didn't rush to check it, but accompanied Yi Chen and sent Xiao Cheng back early. There is no way, the too small couple is in adolescence. Wei Xiao cannot dare to let the two outside at night blindly sneaking. Maybe, just sneak into Rujia, Changmu inside. With a dusty Yi Chen back to the small broken rental house, Wei Xiao also did not forget to say to his own brother. The human girl is a good one. You don't want to let people down. Yi Chen Chapter 41 System Mall and Achievement Tasks. After Wei Xiao finished her bath, she rushed Yi Chen to take a bath as well. Wash up, no one is allowed to go to bed until you're clean. Yi Chen muttered, but eventually went honestly. For the first person to share a bed after he came to this world was actually his own brother. Wei Xiao was very dissatisfied. As soon as he thought of this, he felt that he had made a wise choice in not letting Yi Chen take Xiao Qing to continue strolling around. In his place, he would probably not be able to hold back, but Yi Chen could hold back? That wouldn't do. Brothers, it's all about suffering together. Of course, Wei Xiao is also really worried about the two in case of gunfire. Things are not good. If after a year or two, Wei Xiao's plans are realized one by one, then things are better. After all, by then, Yi Chen must be a chairman, president, or something like that. Even if something goes wrong, he can still cover himself, but in case something happens now, the woman's family that can still be good? Yi Chen, this environment, I'm afraid it is to be turned upside down. I'm afraid that the road after the two will be even more difficult. Directly forced to break up is not impossible. Endure for a while, the sky is long. That's still cost-effective. Wei Xiao silently lamented in his heart, while summoning the system to come. Ding. Completed optional mission name, if for freedom. Ding. Mission reward, extended lifespan of 7 days has been issued, and the mall system has been successfully unlocked. Ding. Mission reward, 1 million free assets has been issued. Wei Xiao hurriedly checked his personal attributes, and sure enough, he had broken through the 100 mark once again. Current remaining lifespan, 101 days. Good lord, he's literally on the steel cable of life and death, constantly dancing ah. Taking another look at his personal account, Wei Xiao also found a hint of difference this time. In the past, the mission funds were all in his balance treasure. But the free assets issued this time were not in the balance treasure. Wei Xiao searched for half a day before finding the money. Surprisingly, it was directly credited to his bank card. After confirming this, only then did Wei Xiao finally have the time to look on the reward he was most curious about. The unlocked system mall. On his personal panel, at this time, in addition to his personal attributes, the current mission, there was also an additional layout. The mall layout. Wei Xiao clicked in to take a look and was dumbfounded. Strength potion permanently increases the host's strength attribute by 1 point. Price tag 50 days of lifespan, 1 billion personal assets. Agility potion. Physical strength potion. Charm potion permanently increases the host's charm attribute by 1 point. Price tag 500 days of lifespan, 10 billion personal assets. Luck potion. Enlightenment potion. Marrow cleansing potion opens up the host's potential for him, effect unknown, 1 time only. Price tag 500 days of lifespan, 10 billion personal assets. Superpower blind box, gain a super talent along with it. The magnitude is extremely large, please purchase with caution for the host. List price 5,000 days lifespan, 100 billion personal assets. Diving potion. Anti-cold potion. Apart from the attribute potions that Wei Xiao was able to guess, the system mall had everything in it. Even the operation of exchanging one's life for money was there. Free asset exchange, current ratio 1 day of life equals 10,000 yuan of free property. However, when Wei Xiao turned his head to look, he was still captivated by a few things inside the mall. Superpower blind box. Marrow cleansing potion. Is this for me to cultivate immortality, or to become a superhero? Wei Xiao looked dumbfounded for a while, and at the same time, his heart was greatly shaken. Of course, it wasn't the first day he had seen the power of his own system. So for all of this, Wei Xiao was shocked but still able to accept it. The main problem still lies in he couldn't afford any of these good things. Either he had to trade his life for them or buy them with his free assets. But all of these, for the current him, were undoubtedly difficult to reach the sky. System, besides these 2 official channels. Is there any other way to get a superpower blind box, or a marrow cleansing potion? Ding! In addition to the official channels, the host can also customize the mission and set the rewards. Oh! Wei Xiao's face turned green when he heard this. Not to mention that customizing a mission was also taking a life. Let's just say that the rarity of these 2 things, it was obvious that the difficulty of the mission couldn't be any lower. Where would Wei Xiao dare? But not waiting for Wei Xiao to be discouraged, the almighty system gave him another option. Ding! If the host is not satisfied with the self-defined mission, he can also obtain it by completing the achievement mission. Oh! Ding! It has been detected that the host has successfully opened the system mall. Ding! The achievement system has been opened. Ding! The host can consult the achievement system at any time and choose whether or not to accept the achievement tasks. Wei Xiao listened to the system's notifications with a face of numbness and blank stares. Wei Xiao could sort of see that this system of his was completely unlocked by himself. Anyway, if he didn't ask, the system wouldn't take the initiative to tell him these things. Sure enough, only those who wanted to live would go and keep asking the system. Only then would they be able to use the system well. Wei Xiao silently clicked on the achievement system, and sure enough, he saw a series of achievement tasks on it. However, just by looking at the names, Wei Xiao felt a tingle in his scalp. Achievement task: Uncrowned King, by all means, control a world-certified country. Achievement mission: Peacemaker, by all means, mediate a war that lasts for more than 10 years. Achievement mission: Lord of the Seven Seas, through all means, conquer the 7 pirate gangs in all the seas around the globe. Achievement mission: King of Mercenaries, subvert. By purchasing mercenaries. Achievement quest: King of War, subvert through. Achievement quest: Father of the Forest, via. Achievement quest. Spilling out, there were more than 20 achievement quests. Wei Xiao looked at almost half of the rewards, all of which included the superpower blind box as well as the marrow cleansing potion, thinking to himself, the system really didn't lie to him this time. But the problem was, these fucking quests, are they something he can accomplish? Lord of the Seven Seas? Messenger of Peace? Is that something that ordinary people can do? And what about the uncrowned king? Is he going to become the emperor? But the Qing dynasty died a long time ago. And although these tasks can be done by all means. But Wei Xiao, in addition to spending money, what other means? Looking at these mind-numbing tasks, Wei Xiao sighed deeply. Then, he gently turned off the system. Alright, it's me who's thinking too much. Wei Xiao muttered. Sure enough, how powerful the system's rewards were. Then how pitiful are its tasks. Just after turning off the system for a short while, Yi Chen also took a bath and came out. Brother, are the two of us really sleeping in the same bed? Yi Chen was still a bit uncomfortable. Wei Xiao was also not used to it. So he gave his dear brother a choice. Either sleep on the bed. Or sleep on the floor. You choose one. Yi Chen thought for a few seconds before saying, Is it okay if I sleep on the sofa? Wei Xiao sighed silently. Since you said so, then the sofa will be let to you. Yi Chen said with a face of relief and happiness. Then I'll go sleep on the sofa. Looking at her brother's departing back, Wei Xiao fell into deep confusion. My dear brother, Your brother, I'm about to go change the world. Do you think you would support me if you knew about it? Chapter 42, I must kill you today. After arranging for Yi Chen, Wei Xiao, who was lying on the bed, started the last job of the day. Going to battle fish to take a stroll. Well, it was mainly to see if Anchor Ashu had replied to himself yet. What Wei Xiao sent to Ashu was about games. For example, the types of games that were currently hot in China, as well as the game IP, and so on. As a result, he didn't expect that the person actually replied. It was still a very enthusiastic kind. Actually, the current domestic market is still very confusing. But those big Ipsen brands, it's still the same as always. After all, the market for domestic games, those who understand. Boss, if you just want to play games, I have a list here, all of which I think are relatively good. You can take a look. And then this is my FMS, if there's anything you want to ask, feel free to come ask me. Wei Xiao took a general look at the list that Shu sent. Basically half of them were ones he had heard of. But the other half, those were the ones that he hadn't come into contact with at all, or hadn't even heard of. After thinking for a while, Wei Xiao still decided to add Ashu's FMS first. However, before that, Wei Xiao ran to the main live stream as usual and wandered around. What Wei Xiao didn't expect was that today's Mian was resting on the title of the live broadcast room. There was a large line of introduction. Unwell, resting for a day. Looking at this, Wei Xiao didn't stay long after thinking about it and went straight down. After adding Shu's FMS, Wei Xiao realized that his FMS was quite busy. Xiao Li from the real estate company. Mr. Wei, all the things in your house have been offered. A total of $600,000, you see, when it is convenient, I will transfer it to you, or how to deal with it? Home City does not deserve to have the name of the toolman manager. Mr. Wei, I'm already in your villa. I will definitely get things done for you tonight. Do you see when I'll send you the key? Battlefish Live Mean. Xiao Huang, do you love watching horror games? Aquamarine House Lan Yu. Mr. Wei, I'm taking the day after tomorrow off. Do you see that you're free at that time? Is it convenient for me to treat you to a meal? Wei Xiao lay on the bed, looking at this one message, could only reply one by one in order. Reply to Xiaoli, for the money, you transfer me directly. Reply to manager, the key, you can send it to me in the morning. Reply to Mean, horror games to watch as well, are you going live? After replying to these three, Wei Xiao looked at Lan Yu's message, but was a bit stumped. He really had something the day after tomorrow. Because the day after tomorrow is Wei Xiao's good brother Wang Lu wedding day. Wei Xiao was also planning to give someone a big red packet. I'm going to my friend's wedding the day after tomorrow, so I may not have time. Sending the message, Wei Xiao didn't have time to cut out before his cell phone rang again. Lan Yu had been holding his cell phone all night, her mind full of muddled thoughts, not knowing what to think. But the moment Wei Xiao's message was sent, her entire being immediately sobered up. That was supposed to go, will the wedding be late? After sending it, Lan Yu felt that what she said was a bit inappropriate and added, will it be hard? Wei Xiao, facing the other party's reply, then quickly said, not busy, I'm on the woman's side. It shouldn't be easy for you to be a salesman, you don't have to break the bank that much. If you can't, I'll treat you to dinner one day. Wei Xiao said this because he felt that it was really not easy for a young girl to work part-time. In addition, he didn't have much heart to come out to eat with the other party. And it was still a case of letting the other party treat him. It was already hard enough for him to spend money, where else could he let someone else spend money on him? Or a human girl's hard-earned money? We are decent people, how can we do such a thing? But lying on the bed of Blue Yu, see this message, but the most of the smile cannot close, he cares about me. Lan Yu was filled with such a thought, and her hands were also rapidly typing. How can that be good? It's better if I treat you. Wei Xiao's reply arrived quickly as well. Let's talk about it, let's see which day you have time and it's convenient for me. Lan Yu was also very understanding and said, okay, then contact me later. Putting down the cell phone, Lan Yu happily rolled over two big circles on the bed. On the other hand, Wei Xiao exited Feishan. Do some business and it's time to sleep. Wei Xiao thought in his heart and turned his head to open Tingfei movie and TV. It was time to go watch a TV series. The next day, early in the morning, Wei Xiao was woken up by a phone call. The caller ID was Kissing Mom. Looking at this number, Wei Xiao had a headache. Hello? Hello? Mom. What's wrong? You say what's wrong? Did that little brat Yi Chen go looking for you? Well, he's here with me. The voice on the other end of the phone paused for 2 seconds, followed by a sharp ring. Put him on the phone. The decibel on the other end of the phone violently skyrocketed more than 2 times, shocking Wei Xiao's brain to raw pain. Listening to the voice, it was actually his cheap sister-in-law. Vaguely, Wei Xiao also sensed a hint of a problem. Okay, auntie, you wait. Getting up, getting out of bed. Wei Xiao ran to the living room in 2 steps. Looking at Yi Chen, who was sleeping deeply on the sofa, Wei Xiao thought about it and directly lifted the quilt. Crap, brother, what are you doing early in the morning? Yi Chen's beautiful dream was woken up with a dissatisfied face. But when he saw Wei Xiao holding a cell phone in his hand, looking at himself with a sneer on his face, Yi Chen's entire body was a jolt of energy and spirit. Brother, what are you doing with your cell phone? Is there something wrong? Wei Xiao sneered, your own mother, my aunt, wants to speak to you. Yi Chen squeezed out a smile and said, brother, my throat is swollen, I can't speak. Wei Xiao was not angry and said with a spread of his hand. That's fine, I'll tell my aunt that you're sick, and I'll book you a ticket home right away. Don't. Yi Chen said with a bitter face. I'll answer the phone. Wei Xiao was also lazy, the phone was thrown, turned his head and went to wash up. 10 or so minutes passed. When Wei Xiao came back, Yi Chen had already finished chatting. Only looking at his bitter face, Wei Xiao could also guess that nothing good came out of it. Didn't you say you talked to your family? Wei Xiao had a cold face and came in front of Yi Chen. Yi Chen, however, buried his head. You're also an adult, why are you still doing things so unreliable? Wei Xiao also hated it and said angrily. What did you tell me? You said your mom agreed. What happened? Auntie all found her way to my house. Yi Chen, however, looked up sharply and said. I talked to her, but she won't let. I didn't want to come either. but not to come cannot. Looking at Yi Chen's somewhat reddened eyes, Wei Xiao couldn't speak the words that were on her lips. After a long time, Wei Xiao slowly said, "Why do you have to come to Magic City? Just because Xiao Qing said she missed you?" Yi Chen was silent for 2 seconds before telling the truth. A truth that stunned Wei Xiao. "Xiao Qing, she is pregnant." Wei Xiao only felt a blackness before her eyes. "I'll have to kill you, brat, today." Chapter 43, Elder Brother Like Father. Yi Chen was fatherless. His father died in a car accident when he was very young. So everyone in the family loved him, including Wei Xiao, but also because of not having a father, Yi Chen understood things early. But this understanding was crippling. Growing up without a father, Yi Chen was very lacking in fatherly love. So the relationship between Wei Xiao and Yi Chen is often not just between brothers. At the same time, it was also mixed with some, like an elder brother like a father. But at this time, after hearing Yi Chen's confession, Wei Xiao was a little taut. In Wei Xiao's opinion, although Yi Chen was sometimes a bit reckless and spontaneous, in general, his nature was not bad. But in general, the nature is not bad, and will not do too out of the ordinary things. But now, both Yi Chen and Xiao Qing are still in college. Only sophomore. The school year has started and they are only in their 3rd year of college. Xiao Qing's parents were not in favor of the two of them. Now, if this matter is exposed, how should the two of them go in the future? Wei Xiao held up her palm and rushed to Yi Chen, just raising it high. However, looking at Yi Chen's silent and red eyes, Wei Xiao couldn't get her slapped down. After a long time, Wei Xiao silently put down his hand. Lighting a cigarette, he took a deep breath. "What do you plan to do?" Yi Chen was in great pain. "I want it, but I know I can't have it. I can't afford to raise." Yes, this was Yi Chen's answer. He is very clear and understands very well. The key question is not whether both parents agree or not. Rather, even if they agreed, Yi Chen also cannot afford to raise. This is an ancient problem. Many people would say that if this kind of thing is avoided, wouldn't there be no such trouble? But the problem is, there is no medicine for regret for many things in this world. Mistakes, sometimes it really is just a slip of the tongue. That was my first time, I drank too much. She also drank 2 cups that day, and I didn't expect her drinking to be that bad. Then I went to the hotel, I don't remember anything. Then again, it was when she realized there was a problem and asked me to come over. Just this once. Really just this one time, Yi Chen's expression was very painful and self-condemning. It could even be said to be somewhat hideous. Wei Xiao silently looked at his appearance and suddenly said, "What are you going to do if you can afford to raise it?" Yi Chen froze. He had never even thought about the matter of being able to afford to raise a child. However, looking in front of him, over the past 2 days, the cousin who seemed to be very different from the past days, Yi Chen suddenly had an idea. If I can afford to raise it, I'm willing to let Xiao Qing have it. She also said that she wants this child. Although she and I made a mistake, this shouldn't be left to the child. Wei Xiao nodded. That's fine then. Exhaling a mouthful of thick fog, Wei Xiao said with a calm demeanor, "Find some time and ask Xiao Qing's parents to meet." Yi Chen said with a dull expression. "What do you mean?" Wei Xiao looked at Yi Chen and said softly, "If the other parents are able to accept you, then the issue of the child, you don't have to think about it. If the two of them want to break your legs, you'd better be prepared in advance as well." But no matter what. Wei Xiao gave a slight lurch as the morning light from the window spilled onto the side of his face, drawing a brilliant golden arc. "I'll stand behind you." Yi Chen looked at his cousin in front of him, and the suppression in his heart could no longer be contained. He suddenly hugged Wei Xiao, and the tears in his eyes seemed to flow out like a broken thread. Wei Xiao let the other party cry and vent like this. Only when Yi Chen was done crying and tired of crying did he pat the other party on the back. "Get ready and go out with me." Yi Chen froze. "What for?" "Something's up." After dismissing Yi Chen, Wei Xiao immediately tapped on the system. According to Wei Xiao's original intention, he wasn't going to take the mission so soon. This was because there were too many uncertainties with the mission. But now that something had happened to Yi Chen, he had to do something. The originally expected idea of unfolding the company within 2 years and having Yi Chen take over. Say no more, it had to be brought forward a bit. Ding! The system has detected within the host an extreme desire to release a mission and is in the process of arranging it. As Wei Xiao's thoughts were extremely strong at the same time, the system also began to react. Task name: poor and extravagant. Task description: the host needs to spend the 5,000,000 RMB of funds gifted by the system in the form of any living expenses. Task time limit: 3 days. Mission reward: extend lifespan by 7 days, 1-star tuning card. Penalty for failure: exacerbation of condition. Ding! As this mission is the first appearance of the Poor Extravagance series of missions, you will receive an additional 1 point of hidden talent luck upon completion. Seeing this mission, Wei Zhao's heart sank violently as he expected. The system really didn't release the type of quest he wanted the most as he thought. But the unfortunate thing was that Wei Xiao still had a chance. As long as he completed it a few more times, the result he wanted the most would always appear. It looks like I won't be able to spare a moment. Wei Xiao looked at the quest and sighed for a while. By the way, what is this star tuning card? After sighing, Wei Xiao didn't forget to ask the system. Ding! The star adjustment card can adjust the difficulty of the current mission, which is the value of the amount that needs to be spent. Oh! Wei Xiao instantly understood. The star adjustment card could adjust the value of the amount when encountering those tasks that were inconvenient to spend money on. In order to make it easier to spend it quickly or in tasks where Wei Xiao wanted to spend money, he could use this card and increase the amount cap. For example, when he wanted to start a company and have Yi Chen help take care of it, giving him a future that he could work towards for the rest of his life. This amount of money was going to be a lot. But if the system didn't give enough, he could use this card to add money. But if it was a mission like the previous entertainment to death, the amount of money was large to a certain extent, such as in the case where he couldn't even conveniently go directly to White Knuckle the Warfish. He would be able to reduce the amount given by the mission, thus flushing the money to Warfish without drawing attention to himself. After all, Wei Xiao could spend a few million a month at the Warfish. But he couldn't spend a few 100 million a month on Battlefish just to watch people dance, could he? In the long run, that was definitely going to be a problem. Wei Xiao could be rich, but he couldn't be too contrary. That was the long-term way. After confirming this star tuning card, Yi Chen was also ready to go out. So early in the morning, brother, are you in a hurry? Yi Chen was still a bit puzzled. The new home is already done. Wei Xiao looked at Yi Chen's eyes that were still a little red, and said in a harmonious voice, "Do you still want to sleep on the sofa every day?" Yi Chen quickly shook his head. "Brother, you don't even know, sleeping on the sofa can be hard." Wei Xiao stepped forward and slapped his face, laughing and scolding. "Let's go, take you to your new home to take a look." Yi Chen was also happy. "I've been curious for a long time too. Brother, you spent so much money, how big should the house you bought be?" Looking at Yi Chen in this manner, Wei Xiao laughed. "You'll know when we go." Chapter 44, Someone Calling Dad? Just as soon as he went downstairs, Yi Chen, who was about to take a taxi, was stopped by Wei Xiao. "Wait, we have our own car." "What car?" "Brother, you're not talking about the little yellow car, are you?" "Nonsense, 4 wheels. Besides the 4-wheeled toy car that Grandpa bought for you when you were little, you have other 4-wheeled cars?" Wei Xiao didn't bother with Yi Chen, but pressed the car key to his BMW. Seeing that Yi Chen hadn't responded yet, Wei Xiao simply got into the car herself and drove the car in front of Yi Chen. "Not getting in the car, waiting for me to treat you?" Wei Xiao poked her head out of the window and said angrily. Only then did Yi Chen come back to his senses. "Brother, when did you buy a car?" 2 days ago. "But didn't you just go and redeem the lottery ticket?" "Can I take out a loan first?" After fooling Yi Chen, Wei Xiao kicked the gas down. Instantly, that feeling of racing came. Half an hour later, Wei Xiao brought Yi Chen to his new home, but before he even entered the door, Yi Chen's people were already dumbfounded once again. Looking at the vast garden as well as the turf in front of him, Yi Chen only felt that everything that happened in the past 2 days was so unreal. "Brother, is this the house you bought?" "Problem?" Wei Xiao stepped forward and patted Yi Chen. "Go in." Bringing Yi Chen into the courtyard, Wei Xiao immediately saw that manager from Home City. After taking the key and thanking the other party, Wei Xiao also planned to invite someone for breakfast. But it turned out that the other party directly rejected him. "Sorry, mister. Wei. The manager, with a pair of thick black eyes, forced out a smile and said, I might have to go back and catch up on my sleep first. Wei Xiao immediately understood that this was caused by the other party being busy too late yesterday. Okay, I'm really sorry for calling you over so early. Wei Xiao hurriedly said. No, this is all what I should do. The manager waved his hands for a while. If you want to buy anything else next time, you can contact me anytime. No problem, if I want to buy anything else in the future, I will definitely contact you. After adding the contact information, the manager quickly left. As for Yi Chen, at this time, he was caught up in the large mansion in front of him. A house that could be listed for $90 million was undoubtedly the mansion of mansions. After replenishing the top-notch furniture that Wei Xiao had purchased. Within this villa that was already finely decorated, it could already be said to be the top of the top. Yi Chen even felt that the tiles and floors he stepped on under his feet were not tiles and floors at all. Rather, it was RMB. This was a 90 million RMB house. Brother, a house like this, I wouldn't even dare to dream of it. Yi Chen gently stroked the marble wall in front of him and said with a dumbfounded face. It's okay, you take a look in a while, which room you like, pick one for yourself. Come and stay as long as you want. Wei Xiao laughed. But who knew that Yi Chen was a bit hesitant? But brother, with so much money, why don't you go do something else? Wei Xiao saw that Yi Chen had gotten sidetracked again and quickly corrected himself. The ancients said to cultivate the body and family. Without a family, how can that work? Entrepreneurship, that's always possible. Yi Chen did not dare to agree, but it is not good to say anything more. Anyway, buy it all, it's too late to say this now. Alright, go up and pick a room. Wei Xiao also didn't intend to discuss this with Yi Chen and directly led the way up the stairs. There were also rooms on the first floor, but Wei Xiao preferred the second floor. He liked being up there, not down there. Again, it was in Huazhou Courtyard. Next door to Wei Xiao's newly purchased villa, that is, his next-door neighbor's house. At this moment, the young girl was finishing her bath and wrapped in a bath towel and went downstairs. This household was not surnamed Wang. Her surname was Jiang. If Wei Xiao was present at this moment, he would definitely be able to recognize the other party at a glance. Xiao Wei. Zhang Hanying circled around the villa and didn't see Xiao Wei's silhouette. Looking at the note that was pressed on the table, Zhang Hanying picked it up and looked at it. I'm going to handle 2 contracts today, make your own arrangements. Remember to attend a fan meeting with me this afternoon. Remember not to wear that blue trench coat, it's really ugly. Facing Xiao Wei's reminder, Zhang Hanying directly threw the note on the table. No taste. Since Vivian wasn't home, Zhang Hanying had to heat up 2 slices of bread by himself as breakfast. With the bread in her mouth, Zhang Hanying simply made up her makeup, changed into casual clothes, and went out. And the direction she headed to. It was precisely the villa that Wei Xiao had just bought. Looking at the image of the villa's door opening wide in front of her, Zhang Hanying couldn't help but freeze as well in her impression. At this point in time, the other party should still be sleeping. Why did he get up so early today? However, Zhang Hanying didn't think too much about it, and walked towards the villa in a familiar way. The villa's door code, Zhang Hanying, is obviously also clear. Casually primed a few times, the door opened. This kind of password lock, that is, can be unlocked with a password, can also be unlocked with a key. Wei Xiao couldn't remember the original password and hadn't changed it yet, so she just used the key. But Zhang Hanying didn't need to. She usually used the password to come here. How troublesome is the key? Entering the house, Zhang Hanying froze once again. The attire inside the villa was simply a turnover from when she came last month. Why did you even change the furniture? Zhang Hanying was very puzzled, but still didn't think much about it. Pouring a glass of water from the table, she placed the watch she bought for her father on the table. Zhang Hanying walked towards the master bedroom on the first floor while calling out in passing. Dad? Dad? Second floor. Wei Xiao, who was showing Yi Chen a room, suddenly gave a start to her movements. Did you just hear something? Hear what? Yi Chen was puzzled. Wei Xiao hurriedly said with a straight face. Didn't you hear someone calling for Dad? Brother, can you be normal? Yi Chen was speechless. But just during the gap period when the two people were looking at each other with 4 eyes, a woman's voice once again sounded. And it was even clearer than the last time. Dad? Dad, why don't you say something? This time, Wei Xiao heard it even more clearly. And Yi Chen, too, finally understood what Wei Xiao had just said, isn't it? Wasn't someone calling Dad? Wei Xiao had a serious look on her face. Yi Chen, on the other hand, had an odd expression on his face. Brother, when did you have such a big daughter? Looking for death, are you? No, just kidding. Yi Chen resentfully shrunk his neck and couldn't help but say. However, this voice is a bit close-off. Wei Xiao had an expression of viewing a retard. Nonsense, the person is right downstairs, can't you hear it? Yi Chen had a face of dawning realization, but followed by a face of doubt. But isn't this house yours now? How come there are still people coming to look for Dad? Wei Xiao gave Yi Chen a blank look. How the hell should I know? Go down and take a look. Looking at Wei Xiao, who looked like she was ready to swear her sovereignty status, she went downstairs aggressively. Yi Chen hurriedly followed. But just after going downstairs without taking 2 steps, Yi Chen hit Wei Xiao's back head on. Crap, brother, why did you suddenly stop walking? Yi Chen's mouth shattered. And in front of him, Wei Xiao, who had stopped on the stairs. At this time, he was also completely dumbfounded. Not only him, the young girl in front of him about 10 meters away was also frozen. Chapter 45. How old is the person? Which one are you looking for? Looking at Jiang Haning in front of him, Wei Xiao subconsciously asked. But following that, he remembered Jiang Haning's behavior of just looking for his father. So he hastily added another sentence. Did you recognize the wrong person? There shouldn't be any of your dads here. Jiang Haning froze for 2 seconds at his words before reacting furiously, his face reddening. Not. How did you end up here, Mr. Wei? This is my father's house. Your father's house? Yeah, my father's house. Wei Xiao looked at Jiang Haning's serious expression and violently remembered something. The original owner of this villa, wasn't it also surnamed Jiang? What fark? At this moment, Wei Xiao only felt that this world was so small that he tried to escape from this woman in front of him by all means. In the end, he bought the other party's father's house. Here. Wei Xiao stiffened his head, trying to find an excuse. Suddenly, he felt his cousin Yi Chen's breath behind him. This place has been bought by my cousin. Wei Xiao spoke while pulling Yi Chen right along. And Yi Chen, who had never reacted, was finally reacting at this time. You're Jiang Haning. Yi Chen was finally recognizing Jiang Haning, who was dressed in casual clothes, and suddenly shouted strangely in excitement. This action was not only Jiang Haning, even Wei Xiao was startled. Why are you yelling so loud? Wei Xiao said angrily. Yi Chen shivered in fear and immediately collected his breath. Only then did Wei Xiao awkwardly turn his head and look at Jiang Haning. Only after a long time did he sigh. I think we might need to sit down and have a chat. 10 minutes later. Mr. Wei, are you saying that my father sold this house to your cousin? Jiang Haning had a look of disbelief and at the same time, some anger. Although Jiang Haning had always known that her father didn't like living next door to her. But she still hadn't expected that the other party would actually sell the house. A few years earlier, Jiang Haning's father had told her that the house had been listed in the brokerage. But Jiang Haning never took it to heart. Because she knows, this kind of house is how difficult to sell. Hanging for a few years, no one to see, that is the norm. But who knows, woke up with a sleep, actually really give father got it. Forcing back the anger in her heart, Jiang Haning looked up and saw Yi Chen with an innocent and bewildered face. Only then did she realize that her tone just now was a bit out of line. Sorry, I'm just a little angry. Angry about this move of my father. Nothing else. I hope you and Mr. Wei won't be angry. Jiang Haning was still very cultivated, even though she was crazy at times. But when it came to doing the wrong thing, she always had a proper attitude. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been trying to send money to Wei Xiao. Yi Chen was about to say something after hearing Jiang Haning's words. As a result, he was suddenly cut off and interrupted by Wei Xiao. It's okay, I can understand. Maybe Mr. Jiang also had his own reasons for not informing you. But that's not a problem, you can totally try to communicate with him. Jiang Haning nodded silently. But following that, she thought of a problem. Looking at Yi Chen next to Wei Xiao, Jiang Haining only felt a pang of wrongness. Mr. Wei. Jiang Haining hesitated for a while before she couldn't help but say. Your cousin. Home environment so good? Previously, after Jiang Haining hit Wei Xiao with his car, he inevitably let Xiao Wei go and investigate. So Jiang Haining was also clear that Wei Xiao's home environment was actually quite average. This cousin that came out of nowhere was able to buy this villa. This made her very surprised. I won't hide it from you, my cousin won the lottery some time ago. Wei Xiao squeezed out a smile and said. I believe that a man must have a home before he can think about anything else. That's why he bought this villa under my advice. But now, since things are out of the way, the problem is simple. I think that your current main problem is better to go and communicate with your father first. Wei Xiao spoke very subtly. The implication was, you hurry up and go. Do what you need to do what you need to do. And this time, Jiang Haining, in a rare occurrence, reacted once according to Wei Xiao's wish. Well, then I'll leave first, this matter really needs some communication with my father. Jiang Haining got up and said seriously. Sorry to bother you, Mr. Wei. Jiang Haining came suddenly and went quite suddenly, actually saying he was leaving. It made Wei Xiao even a little uncomfortable. Phew. Wei Xiao exhaled a long breath. As soon as he turned his head, he saw his cousin with a suspicious face. Brother, why do you seem to know Jiang Haining? She's the goddess of all of Asia. How do you know her? And, why did you lie and say that it was me who won the lottery and bought the house? Also, people. Stop. Wei Xiao pulled Yi Chen to sit down with a hand. I allow you to ask a question, but only one. Ask after you think about it. Yi Chen thought seriously for half a day before suddenly getting excited. How did you know people? Why did you lie to people? Wei Xiao counted and immediately said with dissatisfaction. You're asking 2 questions. Yi Chen agonized. Then why did you lie to people? Wei Xiao had no choice but to hold his forehead and said. I'm going to say that people Jiang Haining is sick in the head. Will you think I'm sick? Yi Chen didn't say anything either, just looked at Wei Xiao. Seeing this, Wei Xiao could only change his explanation. Then if I tell you that the other person Jiang Haining actually has his eyes on me, will you think I'm sick? Alright, brother, if you don't want to say it, forget it. Yi Chen had a blank look on his face and huffed and puffed as he went upstairs. I want the second room. Wei Xiao sat on the sofa for a long time before lighting a cigarette for himself. Sinning ah. Halfway through his words, Wei Xiao saw on the table the watch that Jiang Haining had forgotten to take away. On the other side. After leaving, Jiang Haining, the first time he called his father's phone. But on the other end of the phone, it was always busy. Until he returned home, it was still the same. Jiang Haining reacted violently, opened Fishin to see. As expected, the friends were gone. Old man Jiang. You even pulled the plug on me. Jiang Haining was in the garden of her own villa and suddenly became furious. Jiang Haining's mother died when she was in middle school. She had always followed her father after that. Later, when her father made a fortune, he bought that villa, and she entered the art academy. Then after that, Jiang Haining was discovered and became an Asian top stream step by step. The connection between her and her father became much less. It wasn't until after she bought the villa here 2 years ago and became neighbors with John's father. Only then did she suddenly realize that her father had actually remarried. Although he didn't have any children, his father had actually hit the license with that woman. Jiang Haining did not like that woman. After all, there is no woman who likes to call someone who is 5 years older than her mom. But now, father for that woman. Surprisingly, he pulled his own phone black, Fishin deleted. Even the house is sold. The more he thought, the more angry, the more aggrieved Jiang Haining suddenly can't hold back. Tears cannot stop flowing, Jiang Haining cried like a tearful person. Right at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out from behind. How big of a person, still crying? P.S. Tomorrow on the push, the editor said, 5-star praise is really important. In the watch everyone trouble by hand to give a favorable review. Point a catalyst. Thanks a million. Chapter 46 Jade. Jiang Haining foolishly looked back, his crying face full of shock. Seeing this, Wei Xiao waved the box in his hand. Your watch, forgot to take it away. Thanks. Zhang Haining hastily wiped his face and grabbed the watch box with a face of shame. Following that, he busily ran into the house. Wei Xiao looked at Zhang Haining's fleeing back and shook his head helplessly. However, from the other party's father selling the house without even informing Zhang Haining of this move, Wei Xiao could vaguely guess something. None of it is easy, Wei Xiao muttered under her breath as she walked back. But the door needs to be changed too, this password people know better than me. It just so happened that the new mission sent him $5 million, which was also enough. After returning to the villa, Wei Xiao saw Yi Chen running over with an anxious face. Brother! How is the room cleaner than my face? Did you not buy any household items? Nonsense, things were only taken care of yesterday, where was the time? Wei Xiao gave him a blank look, followed by turning around and going out the door. Go, take you shopping. In the morning's time, Wei Xiao brought Yi Chen to buy a whole cart full of daily necessities. From daily washing, to paper towels and cutlery, there was everything. During this time, Wei Xiao also asked Yi Chen to call Xiao Qing. However, the two brothers also passed the gas, and for the time being, they did not disclose Xiao Qing's pregnancy to the public lest the girls be embarrassed. But Wei Xiao wanted more. First of all, Auntie already knew that Yi Chen had come to join her. Although Yi Chen had temporarily stabilized his mother, it wasn't a good thing to keep dragging it out like this. Secondly, Xiao Qing was carrying a child that Yi Chen did not want to abort. Then there was only one solution left to this problem. He must take his brother and go to meet the other party's parents. Wei Xiao calculates his own efforts within this week to add a shift. There is always a task that is suitable for spending money to open a company. At that time, even if it is a plate of facade, that Yi Chen how to drop is also more or less considered to follow Wei Xiao in the early stages of the business. Better than now Wei Xiao himself a laborer, with a college student to the door to ask for marriage to be more like it. Frankly speaking, Wei Xiao also does not know why he is a foreign traveler, why will be so concerned about his cheap cousin. Perhaps it was because he had inherited the original owner's memories. Or perhaps it was because in his bones, he wished to have more family. After all, in essence, Wei Xiao was actually lonely. After taking the two for a morning stroll, Wei Xiao took the two for a big meal at noon. Then Wei Xiao took $100,000 out of his private funds and called Yi Chen. This was the free money he was rewarded with when he completed the mission earlier. It could be used to spend as much as he wanted, and of course, it was also possible to transfer money directly. Take this money and take Xiao Cheng for a good shopping trip, buy gifts and stuff. By the way, go buy 2 sets of decent clothes and prepare for what's to come afterward. Yi Chen naturally understood what Wei Xiao was referring to when she said things afterward. But the young man, after all, was still a bit worried. Brother, do we really have to be like that? Yi Chen took advantage of Xiao Qing's efforts to queue up for milk tea in front of him and sneaked out. But my mom's side is still not clear about this. She will really break my legs. Cut the crap. Just tell me if you're fighting whether you're going to go to the door to propose marriage or not. Go! That'll do, when it's done with your future in-laws. Aunt's side of things, I will take you back to specifically say. Then. Okay. Yi Chen looked at Wei Xiao's so bottomless appearance, and his heart was touched for a moment. Thank you, brother. Alright, if you really want to thank me, just use your brain more in doing things in the future. Wei Xiao said with a deep sigh. If things really come to fruition, you'll be a father next year. Show some manliness. Yi Chen's spirit lifted, and he actually really calmed down quite a bit. I understand. Not long after, Xiao Qing came back after buying milk tea. The money used to buy the milk tea was also Xiao Qing's own pocket money. Wei Xiao could see that this little girl really liked Yi Chen. Alright, you two go and have a good time, I still have some things to do these days. Well, then brother, you go and get busy. After sending the two away, Wei Xiao thought about spending some time and went to specialize in passports. This thing needed a bit of time to pass, and Wei Xiao went ahead to prepare it considering that he might use it afterward. After that, Wei Xiao ran off alone to the most well-known antique market in Magic City. This current mission of his was named Poor Extravagance. To put it simply, it was a mission to splurge. Wei Xiao had also confirmed when he went out today that purchasing antiques was also possible. Earlier in the day, Wei Xiao had wanted to go for a quick spending spree by buying some antiques or something. Now that there was an opportunity and the leg problem had recently completely recovered, it was natural to seize the opportunity. However, Wei Xiao still planned to keep a portion of it and use it as tomorrow's portion. Tomorrow was the day his good brother, Wang Lu, was getting married. Wei Xiao was prepared to give Wang Lu a big portion to commemorate the true friendship that the two of them once had. Magic City New Street Antique Market. As the most well-known antique market in Magic City, there were hundreds of antique stores and a large number of vendors here. However, these vendors were all regular vendors that were required to pay land tax and business tax, so the city police usually didn't bother much. Magic City is not like Kyoto, although the antique market here is active. But compared to Panjiayuan, the flow of people is still far away. But for Wei Xiao, such a half-assed, or enough. Wei Xiao today intends to buy himself a piece of jade. It is a Chinese tradition for men to wear guanyin and women to wear butin, and compared to a big gold chain, Wei Xiao feels that bringing a piece of jade is obviously more tasteful. But there was quite a lot to be said about buying jade. The concept of jade is very broad, including jadeite, Hatian jade, chalcedony, waterfoam jade and so on. And people often call jade, mostly jadeite-based. Jadeite is called the king of jade, down to 10 pieces, up to $1 billion. In the thousands of years of Chinese cultural history, the weight of jade is also significant. In ancient times, the collections of many dignitaries were mostly dominated by jade. Many ordinary people's family heirlooms is also a type of jade. In most movies and TV dramas, there are often noble men with a piece of jade around their waist. This is a symbol of status. Zhou Yuzhao has mentioned the ancient gentleman must wear jade. Left not pay, right set pay. The saying. There is also an old saying that the gentleman has no reason. Jade does not go body. People who know what they're doing can often tell the difference between good and bad jade at a glance. However, Wei Xiao didn't understand, so naturally he couldn't buy a finished product. Although Wei Xiao was rich, he didn't like being pitted by those old guys. Obviously a few $1,000s, on his knowledge base, he can't tell if someone else sells it for tens of thousands of dollars. So Wei Xiao was going to take his chances. That is, the same thing that people most often hear about, but mostly won't touch. Gambling on stones. Chapter 47, I don't think it's too good. Through some inquiries, Wei Xiao quickly found his target. What Wei Xiao picked was a very trenchant store. In the antique market, many stalls, as well as stores, had raw stones for sale. However, Wei Xiao roughly swept his eyes and none of them were expensive. The cheap ones were a couple thousand, and the expensive ones were only a couple thousand. It didn't meet Wei Xiao's heart's expectations. Today, he was planning to wipe out the big head of the task in one breath. After removing tomorrow's share of the money, Wei Xiao's heart price was around 4 million. $4 million for an uncut piece of raw stone, even people who knew their way around would say. Really rich. But Wei Xiao didn't care. It is best to gamble it out, but not. Just come back next time. Wei Xiao wasn't afraid of losing money anyway. It was better than being pitched. Losing to his own hand, Wei Xiao felt it was more acceptable. The name of the store Wei Xiao picked was called Yajitang. The name was literary enough, and the store was elegant enough to deserve the name. But when Wei Xiao entered the store, he realized that there was something else inside. A left and right, two directions. The left is antique class. The right side of the jade, woolen material of a kind. Raw material, is the jade raw stone jargon name. Wei Xiao went directly to the right. Without taking 2 steps, a staff member of the store greeted him. This gentleman is here to see jade? The store clerk had a pair of Zhongshan clothes, quite a sense of immediacy from the Republican era. Looking at jade. Wei Xiao didn't play dumb and asked directly. How about the wool you have here, can you take a look? The clerk immediately came into the spirit upon hearing this. Of course. I don't know if you've played with gambling stones before, sir? No. Wei Xiao's reply caused the clerk to be slightly stunned. Just by the way Wei Xiao looked around after he came in, the clerk already had an idea in his heart. However, he still asked this question out of turn, and to put it bluntly, he was planning to brag about the guest. Hold up a guest, let the guest happy, they have the opportunity to store good start. As the old saying goes, the antique industry, the ability to have, the mind is equally important. But Wei Xiao is not like those who do not know the business guests, pretending a bit instead, he directly told the clerk, I'm just a white man. The clerk squeezed out a smile and continued. It's okay, there's always a process. Then how big is Mr. planning to play today? The clerk's eyes darted around, leading Wei Xiao to the woolen material area, pointing at an area right in front of him and said, "All the material here is good, and the price is around $100,000 to $200,000. The ones over there are a bit better, more around $500,000. If you want to play bigger, we also have good material in our store, of course it depends on what you want." Wei Xiao swept his gaze and directly bypassed the piece of land in front of him. Then, all of his attention was focused on the small area at the very back. There was even less wool there, but it was the case that each piece was placed and segregated individually, and at this moment, there were also a few guests who were crowding around there. "The material there is good?" Wei Xiao wondered. That's the highest-end material in our store." The clerk smiled and said, "But price-wise, it might be a bit high." Wei Xiao raised an eyebrow. "How high?" "Starting at $1 million, the best material can start at $8 million. When Wei Xiao heard this, he thought that it really wasn't cheap. Ordinary people, where can they afford to play? This one cut is $8 million. If nothing comes out of it, then it's not a loss of blood? Let's go, let's take a look." Wei Xiao didn't say anything, and went up to that area. When the clerk took a look, the smile on his face diminished. A few $1 million of material is not that easy to sell. Customers aren't all fools. Who comes every day to open a few $1 million of material? And the clerk also has a sentence of truth, did not say that is, their store, the store material is indeed from the world's top raw stone origin. But you have to know that those producing places usually leave the best material behind. Only the rest would be sold. So can appear in their store and stay so far no one dares to open. That most likely also difficult to produce good goods. Of course this is not absolute, after all, you just look at a hairy broken stone. Even more professional experts cannot say 100% sure what is inside But on the whole, they store. Just from the surface, a little better, middle and upper quality wool have been opened. The rest of them are the ones that no one wants to open. Wei Xiao doesn't understand this, and he doesn't care. Because he was here to bet on his luck. "Mr. Huang, I don't think these are very good," a middle-aged man with a center parting and glasses said with a sigh. "With my knowledge of this business, it's probably hard to ship in here." The one addressed as General Manager Huang was a burly man of almost 200 pounds. That expensive suit could barely fit him. However, Mr. Huang still said, "Mr. Zhao, it's just for fun, a few $1 million for a stone isn't that expensive." Once the center-parted head of Mr. Zhao heard this, he could only start picking out the material. He had asked Mr. Huang to come out to talk business today. In order to strengthen the possibility of this then cooperation, he, Mr. Zhao, had also deliberately investigated Mr. Huang's hobbies. So when the meeting came to an end, he purposely made the suggestion of gambling on stones, wanting to accompany the other party to have some fun. But who knows, after coming to the Yaji Hall, Mr. Huang actually completely looked at those ordinary wool. Directly to this most expensive area to come. Although Mr. Zhao is a little reluctant, but things have come to this point, he can only sacrifice his life with the gentleman. As long as this business can be negotiated, it's not unacceptable for him to lose a few million. Sir, you can take a look first. Just as General Manager Zhao was hesitating, a sales clerk's voice suddenly came from the side. When General Manager Zhao sniffed and looked, it was actually a young man who was too young for words. But General Manager Zhao, who had just developed some dissatisfaction in his heart, suddenly lost the unhappiness of being disturbed when he fixed his eyes on it. What a handsome young man! Mr. Zhao secretly marveled in his heart, and Mr. Huang, who was on the side, also followed his gaze to look at the visitor. At this look, Mr. Huang couldn't help but have the same thought. Good looks were also divided into many kinds. For example, those young fresh meat stars were highly sought after by many young girls. But for the older generation to see, there were few positive comments because the level of aesthetics is different. But Wei Xiao's handsomeness erased this amazement. His handsomeness, in the eyes of a young girl, had a kind of banishment-like handsomeness. In the eyes of the older generation, or successful people, it was a sprightly and sunny good look. It was easy to make one's heart feel close to one's heart. Little brother, also come to see the gambling stones? Mr. Huang looked at Wei Xiao, who also came to see the wool, instantly adding a few more touches of goodwill. Yes. Wei Xiao laughed. This gentleman, also ready to come and have some fun? Well, came to take a look and want to get started. But haven't picked one yet. Mr. Huang pointed to the most expensive piece of Stone King. This one at $8 million, I think it's just fine. What do you think, little brother? When Mr. Zhao saw this, he couldn't help but be secretly shocked. To know that Mr. Huang was not someone who was that easy to contact, he was trying to get close to Mr. Huang and talk about this business. But he had gone through a lot of effort to get close to Mr. Huang and talk about this business. But looking at the appearance in front of him, Mr. Huang seemed to like this young man? That piece? Wei Xiao looked at the $8 million piece of raw stone and his face darkened. I don't think it's too good. Chapter 48, What if I'll really come out on top? When Mr. Huang heard this, he was immediately dissatisfied. This piece is already the best looking one in this Yaji hall. You don't even think it will work? Wei Xiao pondered for a while before saying. I'm not sure, but it feels like it just doesn't work. Of course, looking at you, you definitely know more than me. I'll just say it off the top of my head, you don't care. What Wei Xiao didn't say was that the first time he looked at that stone, he was dissatisfied. This feeling was very subtle. It was like the question of whether tofu brain was sweet and tasty or savory. Everyone had a different opinion. Wei Xiao just didn't like that piece anyway. On the contrary, Wei Xiao was interested in a piece of woolen material. That is extremely ugly. In fact, it is not really ugly, but that piece of wool that was priced at $2 million. Compared to the other rough stones, it did look a lot worse. At least the two of them, Mr. Zhao and Mr. Huang, were not even looking at it. So which piece do you have your eye on, brother? Seeing that the Stone King that Mr. Huang had his eyes on was rejected by Wei Xiao, Mr. Zhao was also curious. Wei Xiao pointed with his hand and said, I have my eye on this piece. The crowd sniffed and looked, and instantly froze. Even the clerk who brought Wei Xiao in was embarrassed and said, Sir, what I must remind you is that this piece of wool has been sitting for 2 years and it hasn't been auctioned. Why? Wei Xiao was very puzzled. Because the shape of this piece of material doesn't work, even if it opens up good goods, it can't be made into a big object. At most, it would be something like a jade pendant or bracelet. Mr. Huang gave an explanation. Wei Xiao hurriedly looked at the clerk as if inquiring, only to see the clerk nodding vigorously. That's right, this Mr. Huang is right. Wei Xiao knew that the fat man was surnamed Huang and also said, Mr. Huang, then which piece are you going to buy? I'm going to pick that $8 million piece. Eh? All right. Wei Xiao didn't persuade much. His feelings were his feelings, and it was naturally inexcusable for the human Mr. Huang to have his own feelings. Little brother, you want to gamble too? Seeing Wei Xiao staring at the $2 million piece of material, Mr. Huang couldn't help but kindly remind him. At this price, it's really not cost-effective. If it's around $2 million, it's possible to give it a try. At over $3 million, it's a premium. Wei Xiao was also grateful. Thank you for the reminder, Mr. Huang. But I still think this piece might ship. Seeing that his persuasion was ineffective, Mr. Huang didn't say any more. Mr. Zhao, have you looked at it yet? Ah. Oh, I'll take the $2 million piece of material. Mr. Zhao had no choice but to casually choose a piece of wool with a medium to low price. However, Mr. Huang and Wei Xiao coincidentally shook their heads. Mr. Huang shook his head because he knew his trade and could see that the piece of material was quite ordinary. Wei Xiao shook his head because he felt that the material chosen by Mr. Zhao, he also did not like. All right then, get ready to open it. Mr. Huang said to the clerk who had been guarding the side. The clerk immediately happily took out the raw stone and prepared to head to the professional gambling area to open it. Seeing that Wei Xiao was still looking at the stone, Mr. Huang thought for a moment and said, If it's not convenient for your hand, you can look at it again. There's plenty of time. Upon hearing this, Wei Xiao froze for 2 seconds before saying, "No need. That, you prepare it as well, I'll take this piece," Wei Xiao said to the clerk who let him in. The clerk was stunned for a while, not expecting Wei Xiao to come for real. Okay, I'll prepare it here. Mr. Huang, however, was really a bit stunned. Wei Xiao's age was not even 2 years older than his son. But yet, when he made a move, it was a few $1,000,000, or he was playing with gambling stones. This was not the same concept as spending millions on a car. Can't see that little brother has a good family background. Mr. Huang couldn't help but laugh. In his opinion, it was naturally unlikely that Wei Xiao was so rich on his own. The probability was that he was the child of a rich family. Not bad. Wei Xiao laughed. My name is Wei Xiao, Mr. Huang, you can call me Xiao Wei. Alright, little Wei, you've picked out a good one too, should we drive together? Yes. Wei Xiao didn't refuse and followed Mr. Huang and Mr. Zhao and went to the gambling area. A huge instrument hovered in midair, and 3 pieces of wool were placed on one side in order. Gambling on this thing, it relies on luck the most. 1 cut, 1 thought of heaven and 1 thought of hell. Luck is good, tens of thousands of material out of millions, tens of millions of goods are available. Bad luck, millions of material a knife down, a piece of empty that is also the norm. Mr. Huang was still transmitting his insights on stone gambling to Wei Xiao. On the other side, the professionals were ready. Mr. Huang stepped forward and thought about taking a pen and taking a position on top of the wool. Let's cut it from here. The staff nodded, took the wool and started working on the instrument. Everyone at the scene, at this moment, couldn't help but hold their breath. This cutting was not a stone, but money. $8 million, just 1 cut. As the spiral blade cut through the raw stone, a large amount of debris flew in all directions. However, when the instrument had cut halfway through, Mr. Huang's face had completely darkened. From his angle, it could be clearly seen. The color inside the wool was actually very, very light. And the area was also very small. This could almost indicate that this piece of wool was already ruined. Mr. Huang. Seeing that the first cut was finished and the inside was a mess, Mr. Zhao couldn't help but say, "How about another cut?" Mr. Huang said with a black face. Continue. The worker also didn't dare to speak and immediately made another cut based on experience. But this second cut went down, and the result was completely set. But a piece of area the size of a baby's palm, looking at the color and looking at the seed, was also the appearance of a defective product. The staff didn't dare to say anything more and just presented the results in front of everyone without a word. Mr. Huang waved his hand. Try mine then. Mr. Zhao couldn't say anything more at this time, and could only let the staff continue to open his own piece. But at this moment, General Manager Zhao only wished that he didn't open anything at all. After all, Mr. Huang had just lost $8 million. If he shipped out, where would Mr. Huang's face go? Thankfully, Mr. Zhao's idea came true. His piece was a bit more defective than Mr. Huang's. Secretly breathing a sigh of relief in his heart, Mr. Zhao was just about to say a few words on the scene. Mr. Huang then spoke up. Wei, your piece is probably difficult too. Listen to my brother's words, it's still not too late to call it quits. Mr. Huang was indeed unhappy in his heart, but when he looked at Wei Xiao's breezy appearance on the sideline, suddenly somehow, Mr. Huang remembered his own son's appearance. Thinking about that brat at home, was he also often out there like this, squandering without any knowledge? Thinking this way, Mr. Huang finally pressed on and advised again. As you can see, your brother Huang, I'm so good material, nothing. The likelihood of you going down with this cut is even lower. Who knew? Wei Xiao was the one who gave him a bright smile. It's really nothing, brother Huang. If nothing comes out of this slash of mine, it means I'm unlucky and it's nothing. Wei Xiao said while asking the staff to prepare the knife. What if I just really come out? Chapter 49, it's not even open yet. facing Wei Xiao's confidence. Mr. Huang cried and laughed. How can it be that easy to come out? Wei Xiao, however, was not happy about it. Brother Huang, can you say something nice? My cut is more than $3 million. Mr. Huang could only laugh bitterly when he saw this. Then I wish you an imperial green in advance. Wei Xiao swept away his displeasure and laughed. Borrow your good fortune. While talking. On the other end, the staff had already prepared the instruments. Wei Xiao immediately looked over with a focused expression. Wei Xiao didn't care if he could open something, but he cared about his luck. One should know that the most powerful of his current hidden attributes was luck. From the time his charisma reached 4 points, the outside world's perception of him continued to shift. Wei Xiao then deeply discovered that these hidden attributes were powerful. However, regarding the lucky attribute, he hadn't had any actual experience so far. And today, he came here to gamble on stones, other than spending money. In order to do so, it was to test his luck. Wei Xiao's current charm attribute was only 4 points, and it had already changed significantly. His luck attribute was 5 points. If 5 points of lucky attribute couldn't even allow him to bet on something. Wei Xiao was also speechless. As the machine slash went down, the stone cracked in response. Crumbs flew across the room, and everyone's eyes were dead set on the top of the piece of wool. But just as the machine had just penetrated less than 2 inches. Suddenly, Mr. Huang's face changed. It's really shipped. Mr. Huang had been playing with jade for some years, and with just one glance, he scanned the color of the jade that was revealed in the wool. It's a purple glass variety. As Mr. Huang's words fell, everyone saw the nearly transparent jade appear in the field of vision. The seed water and color are all superb. As the machine continued to cut, Mr. Huang's face was no longer just shocked. It was simply disbelief. Such a seemingly ordinary piece of wool, by all rights it would never be possible to open a purple glass seed of such quality seed water and seed color. Its value is beyond imagination. Mr. Huang, did you get a good one? Although Mr. Xiao could also tell that the jade inside the wool was not ordinary, he still couldn't help but ask. It's simply rare. Mr. Huang took a deep breath and said with a fiery gaze. This kind of purple glass seed, mostly violet jadeite. Even I haven't opened one that can have this kind of color. No, not only I have not opened out, this piece of jade as long as after some polishing. It's worth at least dozens of times more. Wei Xiao froze when he heard this. He spent $3 million to buy a piece of wool, and if it's multiplied dozens of times, it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Crap, this luck of mine can really work. Mr. Huang looked at the machine and the raw stone with a deadpan expression and said in a daze. This is the first cut, as long as the back does not go wrong, the price of this stone. I'm afraid it's a heavenly price. Wei Xiao didn't dare to be interested in the heavenly price. But he was still very happy about being able to come out with such a result. It didn't matter if he made a profit or not, what mattered was. Wei Xiao had determined that his lucky attribute was indeed valid and strong. When he initially came to the wool area, he had spotted this piece of wool that looked plain and ordinary, and could even be said to be somewhat average. But in Wei Xiao's heart, he always felt that he looked at this piece of wool very favorable. So he did not hesitate to follow his heart. As a result, it was just like this in front of him. Little Wei Ah. The wool was about to be completely cut, and Mr. Huang was finally unable to sit still. Truth be told, Brother Huang, I have my eye on this piece of wool you have. Look, if you are short of pocket money, can you sell this piece to me? The price is negotiable. Before Wei Xiao could say anything, the clerk who led Wei Xiao into the store on the side spoke up that, Mr. Huang. It's only the first cut down, if you just want to buy it. It's best to look at the follow-up as well, right? The clerk was acting out of good intentions, avoiding the possibility that something would go wrong again in case the two parties made a deal. But Mr. Huang wasn't the first day he had come to gamble on stones, and he was well aware of these rules. It doesn't matter, I'll recognize whatever follows. Mr. Huang naturally had his own calculations, and immediately said, Little Wei, you close this stone here, Brother Huang, I can offer you up to $60 million. You sell this stone directly to me, one way or another, you've earned 20 times. Absolutely no loss, and you don't have to worry if something goes wrong in the aftermath. Wei Xiao was ignorant of all this and hurriedly looked at the clerk. The clerk also came up and explained to him in a whisper. Mr. Wei, the first cut of your stone is really good. But the back still needs to be looked at again. After all, there are times when the first cut comes out well, and the subsequent ones may also have problems, such as the area being too narrow and the like. Selling for 60 million now, although it can't maximize the benefits, but in general it's not a loss. But if you don't make a move now, and there are problems later, it won't be worth the price. Wei Xiao couldn't help but ask. What if the follow-up is also good and nothing goes wrong? The clerk hesitated for a few seconds, but still honestly said, if nothing goes wrong, this piece of yours. In my experience, that's a lot of money. At least 9 figures. Or even higher. Of course, this is if everything is okay. If you still want to gamble and believe in yourself at the same time, you can also keep driving yourself. Wei Xiao instantly understood. This stone of his own, if the follow-up was also fine, it would definitely be a heavenly price. But now that only one cut had been opened, the situation inside was not quite clear. After all, it's not like jade is only on one side, there's also the volume and depth to consider. In case the follow-up opened down, the result is only one side is decent, the back of the pole crotch. Then I'm afraid this stone is not worth much. But, although Mr. Huang's offer was tempting, the shopkeeper's suggestion was also pertinent. But there was no way Wei Xiao would sell it at all. What he bought was not transferable for 3 months. Even if Mr. Huang gave him $1 billion, Wei Xiao would not dare to go against the system. Wei Xiao's mind moved and he instantly had an idea. Mr. Huang, it's really not that I don't want to sell. In 3 months, it will be my grandfather's birthday. I see that this stone is good, and I want to keep it to strike something out for his old man. I hope you can understand. Wei Xiao said these words after some thought. When Mr. Huang contacted him, he had expressed that Wei Xiao came to gamble on the stone because of his family's good fortune. So Wei Xiao deduced that the other party was treating himself as a rich second generation. But this is not excusable, after all, a young man in his 20s, taking a few million to bet on stones. Not rich second generation, that also cannot do ah. As expected, after hearing Wei Xiao's words, Mr. Huang instantly fell into deep thought. But after thinking for half a day, he didn't search out an acquaintance surnamed Wei from his mind. Since he wasn't an acquaintance, it wasn't a good idea to make things difficult for him, and besides, Wei Xiao had also said that it was useful to take this piece of raw stone. Mr. Huang forced down the impulse in his heart and helplessly said, That's fine, a gentleman doesn't take from others. Since Brother Wei is useful, then forget it. Wei Xiao saw this, but laughed. There's no rush, it's not even open yet. When it's finished driving, Brother Huang, it's not too late for the two of us to talk again. Chapter 50, I'll have my private jet come over in a moment. Wei Xiao is right, at this time his piece of wool is indeed not yet finished. Because the most important second cut is going to start. Wei Xiao was out of his depth, so he let the staff evaluate a position on their own. Mr. Huang roughly swept his eyes and there was nothing wrong with it, so the person started to operate the instrument. Little Wei the first cut is good though. But this thing of gambling stones, until the last moment, you can all. Mr. Huang was still ready to advise Wei Xiao again in advance, so that he could calm his mind. Just in case the second cut went down and something went wrong, Wei Xiao's mind would be unbalanced. But who knows that this time, General Manager Huang hadn't even finished speaking. Good news came again from the wool side. The instrument had just been cut down less than half an inch, and then it was shipped out again. This kind of situation is extremely rare in gambling stones. In addition to the surface layer of wool, the following are all goods. This also means that the final product of this piece of raw material, the size of the finished jade, will be greatly increased. This time, not to mention making bracelets, even bigger ornaments could be made. Wei Xiao also realized this problem at this time. The piece of wool he picked belonged to the slender type. It was about 40 centimeters long and 25 centimeters wide. Remove the outer layer and just look at the jade inside. It's not much smaller than a watermelon. Fortunately, the first cut he made was particularly close to the edge, and he didn't lose much. This moment also almost saved more than 90% of the useful area. This was something Wei Xiao had specifically requested before opening the knife, just worried that he would be too lucky and give it to waste. The staff had even purposely advised him twice, saying that the cut was too little. But now, the staff was also filled with shock. His job is to cut wool for customers, a few hundred or thousands of pieces of wool a year, that is still there as little as a few tens of thousands, as much as 10 million, he is not in the words. But today such a situation, even in his career. That is really rare. Not only the goods out of the good, the amount is also sufficient. This is like a diamond, a 10-carat diamond, the price is not only 10 times a carat? That's dozens, hundreds of times higher. Wei Xiao's piece of wool, when crafted properly, it's capable of rising to national, or even world class. Because it's too big, the quality is too good. At this moment, even Wei Xiao himself was also impressed by his own luck. This lucky attribute is really bullish. He himself relied on his feelings to bet on a stone, and it turned out to be such a superb product. Brother Wei, you've made a lot of money this time. Mr. Huang suddenly said quietly. Such a big piece, the finished product can certainly be hundreds of millions. It's hard to say exactly how far it can go. The clerk also nodded his head for a while as he listened to this. But all of a sudden, the clerk looked at the piece of jade that was about to complete its second cut and violently widened his eyes. This piece. Seeing this, Wei Xiao curiously said. What's wrong? Mr. Wei, this piece of violet-purple glass seed. Of yours. The clerk stuttered a bit and couldn't speak well. But when Mr. Huang on the side heard this, it was as if he had also suddenly remembered something. Zhaoyi Star. The clerk nodded his head vigorously with a beat, looking at Wei Xiao and the general manager Zhao on the side in a daze. Mr. Huang once again disguised himself as a narrator and explained on the spot. Zhaoyi Star is currently one of the top jade stones in the world. The value is recognized globally to around $600 million. Its seed water, seed color, and even size, are also almost identical to this piece of yours. If you polish this piece of jade carefully, I'm afraid that even if it can't catch up with that piece of Zhaoyi Star, that wouldn't be too much of a difference either. Wei Xiao was also a bit confused when he heard this. However, his reaction was also extremely fast, and he immediately said, I think that Grandpa will always like such a gift. Wei Xiao said it casually, but Mr. Huang also sort of completely understood. This piece of jade, and him were not meant to be. The rest of the matter, that was quite simple. The staff carefully brought the jade in front of the crowd. Everyone could almost clearly see the flawlessness of this piece of jade, as well as its nearly perfect color. Mr. Huang waved his hand, and the staff members who knew what they were doing immediately silently turned off the nearby incandescent lights for a moment. The surrounding light instantly dimmed. Previously, because of the light, the crowd could only feel this piece of jade, the perfection of its seed water and color, as well as the purple rind that it presented. But now, when the lights went out, a touch of demonic purple light instantly attracted the attention of everyone around. Only on top of the jade, a Chang bright and flirtatious purple intent was emanating. Even though it hadn't been processed in any way yet, just placing it there would attract everyone's eyes and attention. Perfect. Mr. Huang was still muttering. Wei Xiao, however, had already found the staff member who had just been there. The subsequent processing, can you do it here? The staff member was just about to answer, but on second thought, he shook his head. This piece of jade of yours, it's too top-notch, I'm afraid my craftsmanship is still a bit short. It's fine if I ruin my reputation, but if I ruin such a good jade, I'm afraid I won't be able to forgive myself. Wei Xiao looked deeply at the other party and said seriously. You are a master worthy of respect. Not dare. The staff member, a middle-aged man, laughed. But my master is a connoisseur in this business, if you trust me, sir, I can contact his old man. Okay, then add a contact information. Wei Xiao didn't say much and immediately left his number in FMS. Mr. Huang was also quite emotional at this time, he went up and couldn't help but say. Brother Wei, it's me who doesn't know the goods. You today this hand, can really let you Huang brother I opened my eyes off. Where, it's just a blind cat bumping into a dead rat, just lucky. Wei Xiao hurriedly said. I'm also really thankful to brother Huang today, giving me so much knowledge. And reminded me several times, really thank you so much. Mr. Huang's old face flushed with shame. It's thanks to you not listening to me, or else you would have lost out. Ha 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 ha, words can't be said like that, you also mean well. Wei Xiao saw that sitting like this is not a thing, immediately proposed. Today can run into is also fate, you want to be fine, I will invite you to eat a meal. It's just right to take lessons with you again and learn. Wei Xiao said this, firstly, to thank the other party. Secondly, he also saw that the other party's status was extraordinary. Someone who could buy $8 million of wool in one breath without blinking. Could that be ordinary? Wei Xiao also planned to open a company afterward, so having more contact with such a big shot was naturally not a bad thing. Seeing this, General Manager Zhao on the side immediately agreed. If you're fine, Mr. Huang, it's just right for all of us to get together and talk about things above the jade incidentally. It's rare that Brother Wei has produced such a superb piece today, it's kind of a fate. Mr. Huang glanced at Mr. Zhao and immediately understood the other party's small mind. Mr. Zhao had tried to get close to him many times before, and when he found the opportunity today, he had to make more contact. However, today, Mr. Huang was also really happy. Although he didn't open anything, he might have witnessed the birth of such a superb piece of jade, and was also a participant who was almost involved in it. It was naturally worth being happy. Then it's done, I'll have my private jet come over later. Let's have a good drink. Chapter 51. Isn't this that cheap, father? To be honest, although Wei Xiao guessed that Mr. Huang was rich, but he still couldn't guess that Mr. Huang could be so rich. When an hour later, Wei Xiao followed Mr. Huang to a golf course at the other party's home when he boarded Mr. Huang's private jet. It was only then that he finally understood how rich people could be. This golf course isn't open for long every year. Mainly on my own side, most of the time I'm not in the country. Plus some of the faults of this person of mine, I don't like outsiders to come to my place. This golf course is also considered to be deserted for the most part. Mr. Huang spoke casually, and Mr. Zhao on the side listened to a burst of speechlessness. As for Wei Xiao, he only felt that Mr. Huang was really too rich. Wei Xiao had previously thought that he was able to buy a $90 million villa in Magic City. He was already rich enough. But look at this person in front of him. What the hell is that? Mr. Huang's private plane, directly to the Treasure Island. The journey is not far, the plane quickly arrived. After arriving at the place, Mr. Huang's private Lincoln Plus arrived. It could be said that there was a wave after wave, and the timing was seamless. Wei Xiao took a break from traveling to the place and sent a message back to Yichen. Letting that kid send Ren Xiaoqing home earlier, his side might go back later in the evening. Brother, you have a date? I also plan to go to a movie with Xiaoqing. What are you looking at? Go back early to guard your home. By the way, find a place to change the door of the house. Even Jiang Haining knows the password to our house, so you're not in a hurry? What's the hurry, anyway? People are so rich, and do not see us. Let you go, you go? Are you happy that someone else knows the password to our house or what? Okay, I'll go later. Well, that's it. After ending the conversation with Yichen, Wei Xiao scanned through the FMS, and it was also quite busy. On the Battlefish side, Anchor Mien was pampering him on a daily basis. And Shu also pushed a few more good cold games to him. Then if he did, Lan Yu also sent him a few emoticons, and Wei Xiao gave one back when he saw it and attached a photo to show that he was busy. As for the location where the photo was taken. Naturally, the photo was taken in the car of the extended Lincoln, facing outside. Lan Yu also hurriedly returned a cute gesture of understanding, followed by no more messages. In addition to these, there was also a message from the real estate agent's side, Little Li. Little Li said that all those furniture about the original owner had been taken care of. In total, it was sold for about $900,000. The stuff has all been sold. After removing the commission from our side, there is still 928,600 RMB left. Do you think it's better to transfer it directly to you, or do you come to us? Transfer it directly. Okay, invoice or something. Invoice and such, please just work hard and send it to me later. My cousin is at home, you can just give it to him then. Okay, I know. For this small request from Wei Xiao, Xiaoli naturally had nothing he shouldn't do after all. Wei Zhao's house this time, together with the sale of furniture, was on top of her income for 2 years. She could not hold on to this big leg tightly. On the other hand, after Wei Xiao received the transfer, she found a problem. This money was not counted in the system funds. However, after discovering this problem, Wei Xiao was still very cautious and asked the system. System, why can these furniture be sold? Ding. It's because when you purchased the villa, it didn't include these furniture. Theoretically, these homeowners were discarded by the original owner. It's equivalent to you picking them up and selling them as trash afterward. So, therefore, this doesn't count as doing it against the rules. Listening to this explanation, Wei Xiao instantly understood. However, he still felt something strange in his heart. More than $900,000 of garbage, it was really a batch of valuable garbage. After finishing this series of things, Wei Xiao finally arrived at the place as well, the location, a resort hotel of Mr. Huang in Treasure Island. Well, after the golf course, helicopter, and then the resort hotel. Wei Xiao silently lamented in her heart, but she found that Mr. Huang brought a few people, and then came to a seafood restaurant right next to the hotel. This restaurant was opened by a friend of mine. When I first opened this hotel, he said that he would have an entire restaurant next to it. As a result, I didn't realize that my hotel drove his restaurant business. His restaurant business in turn brought me the amount of customers. When Mr. Huang said this, he had a look of lamenting the impermanence of the world. Wei Xiao, however, laughed. Then wasn't this your idea in the first place? Mr. Huang froze, followed by spreading his hands and said, I just thought that the two of us can be closer together, so it's convenient to come out and get together, all right. Other than that, really didn't think much about it. Wei Xiao also nodded as she listened. There are times when rich people get richer and richer, and it's not without reason. For example, Mr. Huang and that friend of his, who had set up an industry here, actually didn't do it to make much money. It was just a matter of preference, that's why they had these properties. But as a result, it's another profit. Is it how far-sighted they are? Indeed there was, after all, the place was well chosen. But more importantly, they had money. Because of money, so they can be capricious. So they could go along with their nature, and set up a resort hotel here, and set up a restaurant. If they didn't have money, even if they had foreseen in advance that they could get rich by opening hotels and restaurants here, then what is the use? Wei Xiao pondered for a while and came to the 5th floor of the restaurant under the leadership of Mr. Huang. The 5th floor was at the rooftop, but the restaurant was very well planned. This location can just glance at the beautiful scenery of Treasure Island, and at the same time, the layout is quite good. Especially at this time near the summer, blowing the cool evening breeze, listening to the soothing music. Coupled with 2 bottles of red wine, a table of seafood cuisine. It was simply enjoyable. Come, for our acquaintance. Brother Huang was a very cheerful and enthusiastic person, picking up his wine glass and toasting to Wei Xiao. This made Wei Xiao a little embarrassed. It's my turn to toast you, Brother Huang. Why, you're welcome. In the future, if there are any jade problems that you don't understand, just look for me. If you want to go to a foreign country to gamble on stones, and you're not sure about the doorway, you can also talk to me. Wei Xiao smiled and said, Okay, Brother Huang. The wine cups gently clinked and laughter instantly filled the room. The general manager Zhao on the side followed the light and also compensated with a smile. Just then. Isn't this general manager Zhao? A not-so-familiar voice rang out, and Wei Xiao immediately turned her head to look over. But this didn't look. Was really startled. Yo, you still have friends, Mr. Zhao. Mr. Zhang walked over with a smile on his face, and as soon as he turned his head, he saw Wei Xiao sitting on the side. For a moment, Mr. Zhang's expression froze. Wei Xiao froze and unconsciously cursed in his heart. What the fuck, isn't this the cheap father of Jiang Haning? Chapter 52, Actually my daughter, she's very good. Jiang Haning's own father obviously didn't expect to meet Wei Xiao here either, and he also recognized Wei Xiao at the same glance. After all, the two had only just closed the deal for the house and had just met yesterday. However, what Mr. Zhang walked over for was not Wei Xiao. Instead, it was Mr. Zhao. Mr. Zhao, after last time, we haven't seen each other for half a year. It's fate to bump into each other here today. And this is? Although Mr. Zhang recognized Wei Xiao, he didn't know General Manager Huang. This is Mr. Huang, he's in the real estate business. Mr. Zhao made a wink and Mr. Zhang immediately understood, carrying his wine glass and stepped forward. Hello, Mr. Huang, it's my first time meeting you, I'll toast to you. Mr. Huang just raised his eyes and glanced at Mr. Zhang, not being very enthusiastic. Hello. Mr. Zhang wasn't embarrassed and said to himself, I'm in finance and have invested in a few projects. It's still mostly domestic. If we have the opportunity in the future, we might even be able to cooperate. In the business world, such kind words were very common. But Mr. Huang didn't eat this. He had already reached the point of true financial freedom, and was not as keen on human affairs as he used to be. Let's talk about it later when we have the chance. Once again disliked by Mr. Huang's salty tone, Mr. Zhang was also a bit embarrassed. This, Mr. Wei is also here. Seeing that the situation was a bit stiff, Mr. Zhang could only look towards Wei Xiao in a submissive manner. From the looks of the scene, the best communicator at this table was such a young man as Wei Xiao. How's the house? Not bad, right? Not bad. Mr. Huang, who was on the side, saw that Wei Xiao actually knew the other party and couldn't help but show some interest. Brother Wei, you know Mr. Zhang? Wei Xiao thought about it and said honestly. I just bought a villa from Mr. Zhang yesterday. From Huazhou Courtyard, the environment is not bad. When Mr. Huang heard this, he became more and more curious. He knew about Huazhou Courtyard, after all, it was one of the top villa areas in Magic City. However, in his opinion, Wei Xiao was so young and had a very favorable family background. How could he think of buying a house on his own? How did you think of buying a house? I'm currently alone in Magic City, I have to have a place to live, don't I? Wei Xiao laughed. This villa isn't cheap. Mr. Huang also couldn't help but laugh. A house in Huazhou Courtyard, I don't think you can get it without 100 million or so, right? Well, it cost me more than 80 million, luckily Mr. Zhang is nice and didn't ask for more of mine. That's not bad, more than $80 million to buy a villa in Huazhou Courtyard, it's not a loss. Mr. Zhang watched Wei Xiao chatting away with General Manager Huang just like that, and for a while, he was also a bit dumbfounded. This kid didn't look too big, why did he look so familiar with Mr. Huang? When Mr. Zhang turned his head again, he saw a look of envy on General Manager Zhao's face, immediately firming up the idea of having a good relationship with Wei Xiao. I didn't expect that Mr. Wei and General Manager Huang are also friends, I really didn't expect it. As it happens, since we all know each other, why don't we go to my table? Mr. Zhang pointed to his own location, which was also a viewing area near the sea, an excellent location. Wei Xiao was still a bit hesitant when she saw Mr. Zhang's female companion also stood out and said, Yeah, it just so happens that our side is also very empty, why don't we join together? Hearing this, Wei Xiao couldn't help but look at this woman. Mr. Zhang's female companion looked extremely young. Her face was painted with light makeup, and with her shy and timid appearance, she also looked quite innocent. Wei Xiao even felt that if the other party changed into student clothes and said that she was a freshly graduated high school student, he could even believe it. Anyway, it definitely won't be Mr. Zhang's wife just. After all, Zhang Haining was the same age as himself. Plus the way Zhang Haining reacted before she left today, plus the way she cried alone later. Wei Xiao was not convinced that this would be Zhang Haining's real mom. Since it's not the real mom, then it must be a mistress, or a stepmother. Thinking this way, Wei Xiao instinctively kept some distance from the other party. Whether it's the matter of giving a 50-year-old man a wife in his 20s, or the matter of the other party being a mistress herself, it's all very displeasing to Wei Xiao. All very let Wei Xiao dislike. Once again, he thought of Jiang Hanying's appearance in the morning. A trace of impatience hung on Wei Xiao's face and he immediately spoke. "No, I think this place is just fine." After saying that, Wei Xiao looked at General Manager Huang. General Manager Huang originally didn't want to say anything more to Mr. Jiang and saw that Wei Xiao was also thinking the same thing. Immediately said, "No trouble, we're fine here. Mr. Zhao, you can go over there if you want to go and keep your friend company." Mr. Zhao, who was originally sitting on the sidelines watching the fun, immediately hastened to say as soon as he saw this light, "I also think this place is just fine. That, Mr. John, let's get in touch again when we have time." Mr. John's appearance, which was still very enthusiastic, instantly froze on his face. After a long time, he couldn't help but look at Wei Xiao, who was still wearing a smile on her face. "In that case, let's do it next time." Mr. Jiang forcibly squeezed out a smile and followed the dusty man back to his side. "What's going on? Did you have a bad time with this Mr. Jiang? What kind of person was Mr. Huang?" Wei Xiao's actions just now were so obvious that he could tell at a glance that Wei Xiao didn't want to talk much with the other party. Not really. Wei Xiao took a sip of wine and had no intention of trying to hide it. "I know Mr. Jiang, his daughter. That girl isn't easy either, working alone outside. After realizing today that his father sold the house to me without even informing her, she cried quite a bit." Mr. Huang immediately sank his gaze. Looking at Mr. Jiang as well as the woman's departing back, he sneered. "Another man who started a mess. That's not necessarily true, this I didn't ask people. Whether it is or not, his own daughter is not at all interested in a man, he is not a good man. Men, outside can be socializing, can be some situation, but treat the family, that is must be sincere. The house was sold without telling his daughter, what does this show? It shows that he just doesn't care about the daughter. Such a man. Humph." Listening to Mr. Huang getting angrier and angrier, Wei Xiao hurriedly poured a glass of wine for the other party. "What you said, Brother Huang, is all right." Mr. Huang looked at Wei Xiao with satisfaction, and suddenly seemed to remember something. "Right, little Wei. Do you have a date yet?" Wei Xiao froze and couldn't help but laugh bitterly. "Which object? Just got dumped by my girlfriend. That's because that woman has no vision." Mr. Huang looked at Wei Xiao. The more he looked at him, the more satisfied he was. Although he didn't even know why he was so happy with this kid. But he just felt very good. You're not young anymore, you need to fall in love. Daughters and children are a man's motivation. When you have a wife and child, doing your career will be different. Wei Xiao nodded his head vigorously one by one, then he heard Mr. Huang suddenly say, "Actually, I have a daughter, she's very good. When you're free one day, you two come out to meet?" Chapter 53, let's take a look then. When Wei Xiao heard this, she was so scared that she hurriedly said, "Never, Brother Huang. I really don't intend to get married so early. I still want to struggle for a few years." Once Mr. Huang heard this, he was not satisfied. Struggling is struggling, marrying a wife is marrying a wife. Can that be the same? Wei Xiao was truly afraid. He knew that his charm attribute was high, but it was even if he treated those women. How come Mr. Huang, a big man, also had such a high favor with him? With a pang of worry in his heart, Wei Xiao hurriedly sneaked a look at his charisma attribute introduction once again. Charisma, 4 points. A beautiful face, 90% of characters of the opposite sex will involuntarily be attracted to you, the effect is halved for the same sex. That's it? The effect is still halved? Why didn't I see that? What Wei Xiao didn't know was that half of Mr. Huang's favorable feelings towards him came from charm. The other half was that there were some parts of Wei Xiao that were really to the other party's liking. For example, Mr. Huang liked jade and preferred to gamble on it. Wei Xiao then gambled a top-notch jade stone. For example, Mr. Huang didn't like people who disregarded their children. Wei Xiao then refuted the other party's father for a friend. For example, Mr. Huang likes young people who are truthful and have ideas. Wei Xiao happens to be a real person, who speaks and acts realistically. He's also very thoughtful. At that time, when he was betting on the stones, Mr. Huang could tell. Such a young man has a good family background and is nice. How can Mr. Huang not have some ideas? Wei Xiao saw that the picture of the situation began to gradually go wrong. Immediately finding an excuse to go to the restroom. Phew, that's scary. After Wei Xiao finished solving his physical problems, he couldn't help but feel a pang of fear by the restroom sink. He just wanted to do more quests and live for a few more years, preferably for a long life. As for a wife, it would be best to find a poorer one in the future, that way it would be easier to spend money. Wei Xiao didn't want to find any rich family. Otherwise, if he found the world's richest man's father-in-law, would it still be his turn to spend money? Wouldn't that make it more difficult for him to spend money? After washing his hands, Wei Xiao was trying to figure out how to change the topic when he went back. A silhouette of a person walked right up to him. Mr. Wei, what a coincidence. Mr. Zhang said with a fake smile on his face. Wei Xiao looked at the other party and couldn't help but frown. It didn't look like the other party happened to come to the restroom. Seeing that Wei Xiao didn't say a word, Mr. Zhang smugly explained. It's my wife's first time here, she doesn't recognize the restroom here. These words also allowed Wei Xiao to confirm the identity of the other party's female companion. It looked like Zhang Haining wasn't crying for no reason. Well, then I'll go back first. Wei Xiao didn't want to talk more nonsense with the other party in the slightest and turned around to leave. He currently had no thoughts of tearing his face off with the other party. Although Wei Xiao looked at the other party and was already extremely displeased. However, Mr. Zhang suddenly stopped him. I wonder, where did I offend Mr. Wei? Is it that villa of mine that's bad? Or was it that price that made you unhappy? Mr. Zhang wasn't stupid. The displeasure on Wei Xiao's face was the most obvious when he had just invited a few people. Wei Xiao didn't even make any concealment. In Mr. Zhang's opinion, it was also Wei Xiao's attitude. This was what made Mr. Huang even, by association, not treat him very well either. So at this time, Mr. Zhang, between his demeanor, also brought a hint of oppression. Wei Xiao slightly stopped and looked at Mr. Zhang for the first time. He had given the other party steps, but the other party did not cherish them. The air was slightly silent for 2 seconds. And Wei Xiao's eyes became unusually cold. The house is very nice and the price is fair. But I just don't see eye to eye with you. Are you still satisfied with this reason? After saying that, Wei Xiao turned around without paying attention to the other party's dull gaze and walked away. It wasn't until Wei Xiao walked out for several meters that Mr. Zhang reacted furiously, saying with an angry face. What do you mean by that? Wei Xiao's footsteps snapped and he turned his head, faintly saying. Didn't I make myself clear enough? I have a problem with you. You have an opinion? Even your own daughter you don't care about. You're honorable? Marrying a woman as old as your daughter. You're proud of it? Mr. Zhang's face went a shade of red and white. Luckily, this was a high-class place, and there wasn't a lot of foot traffic. No one noticed what was going on here in the restroom at this moment. Otherwise, Mr. Zhang's face would be all gone. You. Mr. Zhang also did not expect that such a young kid in front of him would speak in such an underhanded manner. Most importantly, the other party also knew about his daughter. Mr. Zhang thought that he was hiding it very well, even if his daughter's red broke half of Asia. But he still didn't let the outside world know that he was actually Zhang Haining's father. But how did the Wei Xiao in front of him know? Could it be that his daughter had told the other party? Mr. Zhang looked annoyed and was just about to retort. At this time, his wife came out. What's wrong, dear? Wei Xiao's face turned colder when she looked at the woman. And Mr. Zhang immediately said. Xu Ling, you go back first, I have something to say to him. Xu Ling couldn't help but say nervously as she saw that the situation was not right. Is it all right? It's fine. Xu Ling was a little hesitant, but she couldn't hold her man's appearance, so she could only prepare to leave. But if she wanted to leave, she would have to pass by Wei Xiao's side. After thinking about it, this woman still couldn't help but advise. Mr. Wei, are you all right? Your husband already told you to go back. You'd better go back quickly. Zhu Ling looked at the indifferent Wei Xiao, and her heart couldn't help but tighten. Wasn't he fine just now? Why was he like this in the blink of an eye? This don't want to fight. Zhu Ling, who had many thoughts in her mind, once again utilized her instinctive initiative. That Mr. Wei, in fact, our family Lao Jiang is still a very good person. What's the matter? We can sit down and talk slowly. Why don't you go sit at our place for a while, Mr. Wei? The more Zhu Ling talked, the more energized she became. Suddenly, she remembered the Mr. Huang that Mr. Zhao had just mentioned, and her heart was on fire. Why don't you ask Mr. Huang to come over with you? We have 2 bottles of 82-year-old law. There. Have you finished? Wei Xiao coldly said. That. Zhu Ling was speechless for a while, and Mr. Jiang also immediately came up. Just say it, what are you doing punching my wife? Wei Xiao suddenly couldn't help but laugh as he looked at the couple's loving appearance. You two, you're quite the pair. As Wei Xiao spoke, he suddenly seemed to think of something. Mr. Jiang, you said that your wife follows you because of true love? Or is it for your money? I'm really curious. Wei Xiao originally wasn't sure what was true about this woman. But from those 2 sentences just now, Wei Xiao felt that he already knew. If it was a woman who could hold a family and live a good life, if it was a woman who really loved Mr. Jiang. Zhu Ling's choice just now should have been to go back obediently. That would have been the right thing to do. Instead of getting together here and seemingly making amends, she was actually using her status as a woman to stir up pity. Or rather, to provoke Mr. Jiang's pity. This kind of tactic, Wei Xiao had seen quite a few of them. To put it simply and colloquially, it was the green tea biao that people were familiar with. At this time, Mr. Jiang's face was also ugly and tight. The previous matter might have been resolved properly. However, Wei Zhao's heartbreaking remarks had completely angered him. The mountains don't turn, Mr. Wei. I hope we have the chance to meet again in the future. Mr. Jiang gave his harsh words and turned around to leave with his wife Zhu Ling. And Wei Xiao looked at the 2 men's backs. The corner of his mouth suddenly rose 2 degrees. Let's see then. Chapter 54, Problematic Teenager. In fact, at the very beginning, Wei Xiao just didn't have much goodwill towards Mr. Jiang. After all, in Wei Xiao's opinion, the 2 didn't have any direct grudges either. But after the other party came running to ask for an argument, Wei Xiao was truly disgusted with the other party. There were always some people who thought they were annoying people with their idleness. If it was said that the 2 didn't cross paths afterward, then it would be fine. Otherwise, Wei Xiao would definitely let the other party know. Why are flowers so red? Just like in that movie of Shen Maotang's, the line that was said. I can still fucking let you bully me in my dreams? It's the same thing. Back at the dinner table, Mr. Huang still had a happy look on his face. Wei Xiao also instantly faded away the emotion she had just felt and put on a smile. Little Wei. General Manager Huang suddenly said happily. In the beginning, Huang always called Wei Xiao as Little Wei. Later, when he saw that he was good, he changed his name to Brother Wei. But ever since General Manager Huang mentioned his daughter, he then changed his name to Wei Xiao again, as Little Wei. Mr. Huang was planning to introduce his daughter to Wei Xiao to get to know her, so calling Wei Xiao again would definitely be inappropriate. Are you free tomorrow? My daughter has settled in Maple Leaf Country for a long time. If you're free, how about going for a stroll with me tomorrow? The environment there is really good. Listening to these words of Mr. Huang's here and now, Wei Xiao said with a bitter smile. This, Brother Huang. I am really not in a hurry to get married. What marriage or not, I just want to go for a break. I'm almost 60 soon, I'm getting old. Going out alone, always want someone to accompany. Look at you, is it convenient to accompany me along for a stroll? Wei Xiao could only be helpless and pulled out his shield, his good brother Wang Lu to come. That, I have a good friend who happens to be getting married tomorrow. I really don't have the time to accompany you, Brother Huang. A friend getting married. That's a big event, you have to go. In which country is the wedding? Province? Or Hawaii? Or Bali? Wei Xiao shook her head for a while. It was in Magic City. Close enough to find a random hotel. Mr. Huang didn't mind hearing it and directly said. That's also good, save the trouble of running around. Which hotel was booked? I also have 2 5-star hotels in Magic City. Maybe, it can even help you some. When Wei Xiao heard this, he didn't take it seriously and casually said. Book the Hyatt Hotel, the inner hall on the 2nd floor. When Mr. Huang heard this, he was instantly happy. I know that hotel, it's owned by a friend of mine. I even went there for dinner a few years ago. Mr. Huang was speaking with a face of emotion when he suddenly gave a start, as if he remembered something. I remember that the hall on the 2nd floor is not a good location. Shouldn't it always be above the 3rd floor of the hotel when you do a wedding at Hyatt? Mr. Huang was right, and that was exactly what happened. Generally speaking, those with better families would book a location above the 3rd floor of the Hyatt. And it was usually a chartered one, a whole floor, no matter if it was full or not. But although Wang Lu's family's environment is good, and her husband's family does some small business. But the Hyatt Regency Hotel, that is the magic of the number of hotels. Want to set a whole floor in such a luxury hotel, or very hard? So under several comparisons, Wang Lu couple chose the relatively cheap 2nd floor. And also only booked the inner part, the area is only half of a whole floor. But the price is only 1/3 of the original. Sort of very good. On this, or Wang Lu's husband's family, looking for relations to get it done. Otherwise the price is really not affordable for ordinary people. Wei Xiao is aware of these. But in the face of Mr. Huang, he didn't hide it, but directly said. That friend of mine, the family environment is just the upper middle level of an ordinary family. His husband does some small family business and doesn't earn particularly much. To live a life, it's still more important to think about the right fit, that's why it was chosen that way. Mr. Huang immediately understood what Wei Xiao meant. After all, not everyone was as rich as him. But Mr. Huang didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it either. One must know that when he was young, he also came from the countryside and didn't even finish junior high school. So for ordinary people, Mr. Huang is not exclusive. It's just that due to his status, he really didn't have much interaction with ordinary people over the years. Now that he heard Wei Xiao say this at first glance, Mr. Huang's thoughts were also pulled back to the past. You know, these hands of mine used to catch fish and crabs in the pond as well. But now, it's just a matter of sitting in a place like this, holding a glass of wine and chatting about those money brass deals. Wei Xiao couldn't help but burst into laughter when she heard this. Mr. Huang lamented and added. What's the name of that friend of yours? Wang Lu, what's up brother Huang? I'll talk to my friend and let them go to the 3rd floor for the wedding. It's only once in a lifetime, it's not easy. Consider it my blessing to that friend of yours. When Wei Xiao heard this, she immediately stood up. How can that be? How can I still ask you to find a relationship? That won't work. Mr. Huang also laughed. It's a matter of a phone call, that old guy screwed me over last time. He asked me to finance with him and later lost a lot of money. Such a small thing, he won't mind. Wei Xiao was touched for a moment in his heart when he heard the other party say this. He didn't think that Mr. Huang treated every newlywed who got married like this wasn't the reason why he said so for his face? Thinking this way, Wei Xiao also had a calculation in his heart. Then thank you, brother Huang. Why, what's the point? Then again, it shouldn't be too hard for you to do this yourself, right? Why don't you help your friend? Mr. Huang always felt that Wei Xiao was a rich 2nd generation. Whether it was above money or above connections, there should always be some. It shouldn't be a problem to help his friend change the venue and spend some money or something. But where is Wei Xiao? A week ago, he still only had $126.38 in his pocket. Brother Huang, actually, my family's environment is quite average. Wei Xiao said with a bitter smile. Mr. Huang thought he was joking and didn't care, saying. Alright, there are bitter feelings, it's fine if you don't want to talk about it. Moving out from home and buying a villa. Things shouldn't be small, right? Wei Xiao was slightly stunned, and then he heard Mr. Huang had already started his own brainstorming. That house isn't cheap, you were able to buy it, so I guess there's not much left in your pocket. Going to gamble on stones, I'm afraid it's also to try your luck, right? Wei Xiao was speechless for a while. From a certain perspective, Mr. Huang was all right. Buying a house had indeed spent all the money, and gambling on stones was indeed going to test his luck. But Wei Xiao just felt that the other party's guessed direction. How did it seem to be a bit different from his actual direction? Quarreling with the family is not a big deal. If you made a mistake, you should admit it. I see that you are also a child who understands things. Don't make too much of a mess with the family, it's not appropriate. Mr. Huang said in a serious tone. In his heart, he couldn't help but think of his unlucky son once again. Wei Xiao, on the other hand, was considered to have completely understood this. Mr. Huang is simply thinking about the wrong awe. Set aside this thought. I was a problematic teenager. Chapter 55. A small request. Wei Xiao wanted to explain. But in the end, he chose to remain silent. If you think it's wrong, then you think it's wrong, it's not a big deal. The main thing was, even if Wei Xiao wanted to explain, he couldn't do so. He couldn't say that he won the lottery, bought a villa, and then went to gamble on stones, right? It would be weird if people didn't think he was a bit sick if he said that. As for telling the truth, that would be even more impossible. Fortunately, that's how it drops. Still, Wei Xiao clarified one thing. Brother Huang. Actually, my home environment is really quite average. Wei Xiao made a final defense. At least this aspect of his family's circumstances, he felt it was still important to say clearly. After all, people wanted to introduce their daughters to them. One can't lie to people, right? But General Manager Huang didn't believe this from him at this moment. Alright, family situation or not is not important. What is money? Isn't it just paper? Too much of it is meaningless. Mr. Huang was also a little drunk at this time. His face flushed red and said, "But go home early. It's not appropriate to always be so stiff." Got it? I know, Brother Huang. Wei Xiao nodded honestly. Mr. Huang nodded and followed, getting up. I've had too much to drink today, so I'll go back and rest early. Alas, old age is unforgiving. Wei Xiao laughed. You're still young and so healthy, living to 100 years old. I feel less. Nonsense. Mr. Huang's old face reddened as he looked at his round, ball-like body and sighed. To think that back then, I was also a handsome postgraduate. Nah. Yes, 10 miles and 8 townships, a famous handsome descendant. Brat. Mr. Huang cursed with a laugh and followed. Alright, I'll arrange for someone to send you back later. There's still a wedding to attend tomorrow, go back early to rest. Don't go late by then, it's not appropriate. I know, Brother Huang. Well, go on, I'll go back first. You take care, Brother Huang. Wei Xiao watched Mr. Huang walk away before he reacted to something. He hadn't added the other party's contact information yet. As a result, he didn't expect that a secretary would come over to receive him just as soon as General Manager Huang left. The secretary is a middle-aged man, svelte and very cordial. Mr. Wei, hello. I'm Mr. Huang's personal secretary, Lu Bin. Mr. Huang ordered, I'll take you back. This way please. Wei Xiao nodded and followed the other party and left. On the way, Secretary Lu Bin didn't forget to take out a note with a few lines written on it. This is our President Huang's personal phone number, as well as the FMS account number. His old man specially instructed me to come and give it to you. Just don't forget to destroy it after you use it. Wei Xiao heard this and hurriedly said, Thank you, Secretary Lu. You're welcome, this is my job. Lu Bin pushed his glasses and laughed. I can see that Mr. Huang likes you a lot. In addition, regarding the matter of the hotel's wedding banquet changing floors, I've just confirmed it on my way here. That friend of yours should have received the call by now as well. So soon? Wei Zhao's heart was touched, secretly saying that the efficiency was really extraordinary. Then please, thank Brother Huang for me. Mr. Wei, in fact, age-wise, it would be more appropriate for you to call our Mr. Huang, you should call him Uncle Huang. Secretary Lu smiled with a helpless face. He had been in charge of Mr. Huang's private secretary for 20 years, growing from a youngster all the way to a middle-aged man. However, he had never really seen a few people as old as Wei Xiao who directly addressed Mr. Huang as Brother Huang. Mr. Huang was a man who valued tradition. It included issues such as polite titles. But somehow, he was so fond of Wei Xiao. Secretary Lu was very puzzled. Facing Secretary Lu's question, Wei Xiao also laughed. Uncle Huang isn't that called old? I think Brother Huang is just very young, especially in mindset. Secretary Lu stuttered at his words, and only after a long time did a deep smile flow out. No wonder Mr. Huang takes such good care of you. I probably understand. Understood what? Secretary Lu smiled and shook his head, looking at Wei Xiao's handsome appearance. So young and sunny and handsome, with a high emotional quotient and also appetizing to people. In addition will also be gambling stones, insightful and decisive. The family is not bad. No wonder Mr. Huang is so optimistic about Wei Xiao. If he had a daughter of the right age, he couldn't help but want to introduce her to Wei Xiao. Wei Xiao saw that Secretary Lu didn't say anything, so he didn't ask any more questions, smiled and stopped talking after that. Secretary Lu escorted him all the way to the airport and then watched Wei Xiao board the private jet. I still have work, so I can't accompany you back. Thank you, it's really troublesome. I should, after you go back, don't forget to report your safety to Mr. Huang. Secretary Lu said while waving his cell phone's FMS interface at Wei Xiao. The meaning was very obvious, don't forget to add contact information. Wei Xiao immediately understood and nodded. Don't worry, won't forget. When Wei Xiao arrived home, it was already 9 o'clock in the evening, almost 10 o'clock. Yi Chen was honestly guarding his home, and was now supervising the door changer at work. How is it? Is there anything going on? Wei Xiao walked up and couldn't help but ask, Brother, you're back so early. Yi Chen was surprised. I thought you were going to be very late. What, are you happy that I'm not coming back? No, the gate is almost ready. Yi Chen hurriedly changed the topic. Wei Xiao looked at it and handed it over to Yi Chen. You watch it, I'm going to take a shower first. Well, you go ahead. By the way, there was a woman from the real estate agency that just sent some invoices at night. I put them in the cabinet for you. Okay, I know. Wei Xiao went up to the second floor and took a shower before lying on the bed and looking at his cell phone. The first thing was the message on Feishan. He had just come back to the car and had already added Mr. Huang's FMS, and the other party had agreed. After briefly reporting on his arrival home, Mr. Huang went to rest first. At this moment Wei Xiao also finally had the time to reply to other messages. First was Xiao Li's side. Wei Xiao stated that he had arrived home and saw the invoice and such. Then it was Lan Yu who asked him if he was done with his work. Wei Xiao thought about it and simply didn't reply. Lest the human girl pulls herself in a flurry of idle chatter, delaying things. Then, Wei Xiao finally saw the messages he was most concerned about. Mr. Wei, I've already talked to my master about your piece of jade. He's in Magic City. He will come to help you look at it in a moment. The message showed that after 2 hours. Mr. Wei, my master has already looked at it. The size of the jade is also completely confirmed. It's a bit bigger than the previously mentioned Jiaoyi star. This is nothing short of a miracle. You see, is it built according to the Jiaoyi star's template, or how do we get it? Wei Xiao faced this message and meditated for half a day before slowly saying. It can be. However, I have a small request. Can you see if you can use the extra in the build process? Or some inconsequential edge positions to create 2 more jade pendants? Chapter 56, You used to call yourself Old Mother. That jade staff member of the Yaji Hall was surnamed Ren. Master Ren's last message was sent around 7 o'clock. So Wei Xiao 10 o'clock sent over the message, did not think the other party can immediately come back. But I did not expect, the phone is actually sent the message the moment it rang. Master Ren was calling with a FMS voice. Hello, Master Ren. Hello, Mr. Wei. You mean, you're preparing to play 2 more jade pendants? That's right, I had this idea, so I wanted to come and ask you. That's not appropriate, Mr. Wei. The position of this piece of jade out of you, that's really just right. As you know, this piece of wool of yours was originally shaped to be not very good. Who knows, only after we completely removed the jade inside did we realize that although the shape of the wool was not good, but inside, it was near perfect. Wei Xiao was slightly surprised. That good? It's that good, Mr. Wei. My master said during the night that if it's handed over to him, he's completely sure that he'll be able to build one for you. A perfect masterpiece that is no less than even the Jowie Star. Because this piece of violet-purple glass seed of yours is already perfect in terms of color. But if you have to play 2 more pieces of jade pendant, then the overall size will be even a circle smaller. Wei Xiao immediately understood what it meant. This kind of one-piece jade artwork, then naturally the bigger it is, the rarer it is, and the bigger it is, the rarer it is. It's easy to want to split it, but it's not so easy to find such a complete and superb jade to come again. Let's put it this way then, Master Ren. Wei Xiao pondered for a while and slowly said. You try your best to watch over it. But if it's possible, even if it's just a tiny little piece of jade pendant, I also hope that you can build 1 or 2 pieces. This. There was a silence on the other end of the phone, and only after a long time did Master Ren sigh. In fact, it's best to have 1 piece, that way both the value and the degree of art are definitely higher. To put it bluntly, you will be able to sell it all for more when you sell it then. I understand. Wei Xiao also understood. That's why I said that you watch. Or rather, let your master watch. If it's not suitable, then naturally it comes as 1. But if there's some surplus, then beat it into a jade pendant. There's always no problem with that, right? Alright, I understand. Master Ren agreed in a flurry. I'll give a word to my master and have him start preparing tomorrow. But this piece of jade of yours, building it is estimated to be very time-consuming and laborious. In terms of time, it may take a month or 2, or even longer. And I'm afraid it's not cheap in terms of the price of processing. I even have to talk to you about it in advance. Wei Xiao immediately said. No problem, the price is good. Time-wise, it's also not a problem at all. Well good, then it's a deal for now. Well, bye. Hanging up the call, Wei Xiao didn't receive a FMS in a few seconds. It was from Master Ren, a price list. Wei Xiao directly looked at the total. The cost of the build, totaling $600,000. This was already a huge amount of money for the average person. But Wei Xiao knew that for a piece of art that could be sold for hundreds of millions in the future. At this price, it was worth it. Moreover, Wei Xiao's piece of jade was insured after Yajitang's gambling. If something really went wrong, neither Yajitang nor Master Ring could run away. That's why he gave it all to the other party and didn't worry about any problems. After dealing with these things, Wei Xiao finally breathed a sigh of relief and clicked on a temporary FMS group chat, Wanlu Marriage Group. The name was simple and direct at a glance. Clicking in to take a look, it had long since exploded inside. It had all cooled down by now. Wei Xiao patiently pulled all the way to the top and spent a full 10 minutes watching the chat. The chat was very simple, centered around 2 issues. 1. Is the location of tomorrow's wedding banquet changed from the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor? 2nd, is Wang Lu is asking, who is looking for relations to spend money, do this thing. The group of 20 to 30 people are Wang Lu years of old friends, old classmates. They are all old friends, old classmates, and will attend the wedding. But in the face of Wang Lu's question, no one came forward. As a result, the group was buzzing all the way for nearly an hour before it slowly calmed down. But when the group was on fire, Wei Xiao was on the airplane and didn't watch. After confirming the situation in the group, Wei Xiao silently clicked on Wang Lu's avatar and sent a message. Sleeping yet? What's the point of sleeping so early? I'm dying of excitement. Wei Xiao couldn't help but laugh when she saw this. Wang Lu's marriage group seemed to have a lot of people. But the ones with the best relationship were just 2 or 3. And Wei Xiao was the only boy in it. The 2 had known each other for 10 years, and Wei Xiao was really happy that Wang Lu could get married. The hotel changed floors? Well, do not know who did it, the family asked to circle, the group also asked to circle. As a result, no one recognized. Do you think this is outrageous? Wang Lu really did not understand what the situation. In fact, it's the person I'm looking for. Wang Lu, who was in the middle of meditation, saw this message and let out a cold laugh. Just you? Small sample, the portion you pack for me tomorrow, can there be $500 not? If it wasn't for the relationship of so many years being here, I really don't want you to come. You don't know how expensive it is to organize a banquet here. $500 per person, I won't even be able to get my money back. Wang Lu was venting her emotions to her heart's content when her cell phone rang again in the cold. It's really the person I'm looking for. But you shouldn't be too surprised. Because you'll be even more surprised tomorrow. Wang Lu looked at the bizarre statement and a thought snapped in her heart. You won the lottery? Crap, how did you guess it so quickly? Can't you just let me pretend for a while? What the fuck, did you really win the lottery? Really, why would I lie to you? You have won the lottery, how come I didn't win it? I don't know. By the way, tomorrow Chen Shui will also go, right? Well, didn't you already know? Don't worry, there are 3 tables on my side, you're the one closest to me, and she's the second table. You two aren't at the same table, it should be fine, it won't be too awkward. Relax. Wei Xiao was silent for a while. He knew that although Wang Lu said this on her lips, but she was still worried about her emotional problems. Don't worry, you're getting married this time. I will definitely make this marriage of yours a beautiful one. Alright, I'm grateful if you can change the venue for me. But, it's really you who won the lottery and changed it for me, right? It can't be because of anything else, right? Wei Xiao couldn't help but roll her eyes at this. Actually, I'm not born to my parents, my real father is a... Hold it, I'm going to sleep, that's it for today. Didn't you just say you were too excited to sleep? That was just now, this young lady is sleepy now. That's fine, alas, after having a husband, you all call yourself this young lady. You used to call yourself old lady. Shut up. Wei Xiao couldn't help but smile as she looked at this familiar way of conversing. This kind of feeling, it's really good. Chapter 57, you'll understand later. This night, Wei Xiao rested early. There were a bit too many things happening lately, and Wei Xiao felt as if she was wound up tight. Every day, he had to deal with a lot of things. Before 11 o'clock, Wei Xiao entered dreamland. The next day, Wei Xiao was woken up by a phone call. As the woman, Wang Lu sighed, her best buddy. Although Wei Xiao couldn't take on the job of bridesmaid, she could still do a lot of things. For example, going to help with jobs like guarding the door. But Wei Xiao didn't plan to go alone. At 5:30, just as soon as she was woken up by the phone, Wei Xiao ran to Yi Chen's room. Wake up! Accompanied by the sound of the door opening, Wei Zhao's voice came after. But Yi Chen just rolled over and didn't react. Seeing this, Wei Xiao immediately stepped forward and moved his hands. Clatter. Hiss. Brother, can you not move and lift people's quilt? Get up, your sister Lu is getting married today, you're with me. I go to the banquet at night is not good. Okay, how can I be busy by myself? Hurry up. After waking Yi Chen up, Wei Xiao hurriedly took a shower. It was good that there were enough bathrooms in the villa, and the two brothers had one room without delay. At less than 6 o'clock, Wei Xiao took Yi Chen out on time. Yi Chen also officially changed his job successfully and became Wei Zhao's royal driver. Here. When the car was about to start, Wei Xiao pulled out a box of Yida and threw it to Yi Chen. Brother, you're still eating this? If I don't eat this, I'm afraid I won't be able to resist smoking. Brother, you didn't have such a heavy smoking habit before. Yi Chen was puzzled for a while. In his impression, Wei Xiao never smoked. But after coming over this time, Wei Xiao became a smoker. Naturally, Wei Xiao couldn't explain to Yi Chen that this was an old habit from his previous life. That's because you didn't see it. Wei Xiao blankly eyed him and chewed 2 of them on her own. If you're hungry in a while, there should be some fruits and melons or something over there. No need to be polite, feel free to eat. Good. Yi Chen drove the BMW, and most of the sleepiness in his body was gone. This kind of level of luxury car, if he did it before, he wouldn't even dare to think about it. Now it was to drive however he wanted. Of course, the rules of the road or must abide by. Ride the morning sunrise and breeze, the car all the way traveling for more than half an hour, finally arrived at the place, but at this moment, the man's side has not yet come. It is estimated that it will take a little while. Wei Xiao looked at the time and immediately took Yi Chen to the nearest bank. To send a gift, it is natural to send money. Transferring money would be too unseemly. However, the usual people package the portion, but a few hundred or a few thousand red envelopes are loaded. But Wei Xiao's portion was a bit big, so he took a backpack from the car. Adult shoulder bag. Last night, Wei Xiao had already transferred the jade processing fee to others. Remove the 2 million for the jade, 600,000 for the processing fee, plus the 20,000 for the door change last night. Wei Xiao is now 18 million short of completing his mission. How auspicious is this number? With this thought, Wei Xiao was also very decisive. After arriving at the bank directly to the ATM machine, he started preparing to withdraw money. It was only 6:40 at this moment, the bank was not open yet, so he could only withdraw it against the ATM machine. But soon, Wei Xiao realized how stupid his idea was. Because, the ATM machine even told him that it was limited to 20,000 RMB a day. This left Wei Xiao, who was only just about to start doing so when he was suddenly told to stop, speechless for a while. He used to withdraw money usually only a couple thousand, and this was the first time he had ever withdrawn so much. The bank's ATM machine this provision immediately gave Wei Xiao whole will not. Brother, 20,000 is enough, right? Yi Chen advised from the side. In an environment like ours, it's usually just a few $1,000s almost. I heard a classmate say that when his cousin got married at that time, his friend's share was only 5,000, 10,000. That's quite a lot for you. Wei Xiao looked at Yi Chen and in a rare moment, did not educate the other party. Indeed, this idea of Yi Chen's was the normal person's usual thinking. But Wei Xiao was different. There was such a good opportunity to spend money quickly. And also improve the life of a dear friend. This was simply given for nothing. Wei Xiao was naturally unwilling to give it up. Most importantly, the person Wang Lu married just once. Next time, even if he received a poor and extravagant task, he couldn't give it to the other party. Not to mention that a mission like entertainment to death, even more so, could only be spent on entertainment. Therefore, Wei Xiao was unwilling to give up so much. But looking at the damn limit ATM machine in front of him, Wei Xiao could only leave with Yi Chen first. Let's wait until we turn around and come back a little later. The money is put on you. Remember not to give it first. Why, brother? Yi Chen had a puzzled look on his face, while pointing at the shoulder bag he was carrying. Brother, you don't want to fill this one bag, right? You know and still ask? Crap. Brother, you're not serious, right? How many shares are you planning to contribute? Yi Chen originally thought. His own cousin had spent tens of millions of dollars on a house and millions on a car. Although it was a bit outrageous, it wasn't particularly outrageous. But now after hearing about the portions Wei Xiao was planning to pack for people, there was as much as a backpack. Yi Chen really felt that it was outrageous. What kind of person packs so much money? But Wei Xiao's mind was made up, so she naturally wouldn't listen to Yi Chen's nonsense. I naturally have my reasons for doing this. You'll understand later. It was naturally impossible for Yi Chen to understand. Wei Xiao also didn't intend to make the other party understand anyway, it was fine if he could be fooled first. There were naturally ways to do it later not. Wang Lu's home was in Area C of the small district, on the 16th floor. When Wei Xiao arrived with Yi Chen, the entire downstairs was already full of people. Electronic fireworks and salutes were all in place, just waiting for a moment of hilarity. Wei Xiao then realized that she seemed to have come very late. But fortunately, the man's side couldn't arrive for a while, so Wei Xiao was fortunately in no hurry. Go up in a while, remember to be polite. Remember to greet the elders when you see them. Seeing this lively scene, Wei Xiao did not forget to remind. Although Wei Xiao had long since stopped being the person he was in the past, he had not forgotten the virtues of China. The etiquette that should be there, still had to be there. Yi Chen was also an understanding one and immediately nodded honestly. Just as the two Wei Xiao brothers were preparing to enter the building to take the elevator, Lan Yu, who had just gone out, also discovered the lively scene in the neighborhood. Lan Yu was not a local of Magic City. The house here was her uncle's family. However, her uncle's family migrated abroad a few years ago, and the house has been empty. Let the Blue Yu temporarily live alone first. Originally, Lan Yu was resting today. But after not getting an appointment with Wei Xiao, Lan Yu thought about it and chose to work overtime. As soon as she went downstairs, Lan Yu saw people everywhere in the neighborhood. And those electronic fireworks and ceremonial cannons explained everything. Such a coincidence, someone in the neighborhood is getting married today as well? Lan Yu was surprised for a moment. She remembered that Wei Xiao was also the one who told her that she was going to attend a wedding today. Thinking so, a strange emotion immediately arose in Lan Yu's heart. Along with that, she couldn't help but look at the next building twice more, but this look, Blue Yu's eyes can no longer move. Seeing their own dreams dreaming of people, is about to enter the building. Lan Yu didn't know where the courage came from, and suddenly shouted. Mr. Wei. This shout was not only loud enough. Along with that, everyone in the entire downstairs was also called to freeze. Seeing this, Lan Yu's face turned red. Chapter 58, Definitely Can't Go Crooked. Wei Xiao, who was just about to enter the building, was also stopped by this shout. He turned around in bewilderment and looked around. However, he found that everyone was in a blank stance. Following people's gazes, Wei Xiao vaguely saw a familiar silhouette. It was only after a few full seconds that Wei Xiao finally reacted. Lan Yu. Although Lan Yu was in a state of social death at the moment, she saw Wei Xiao looking towards her. It still immediately trotted up. It was only then that the surrounding people realized that this handsome little girl was calling another handsome young man. Even the gazes of the people took on a hint of a different meaning. It's good to be young. A middle-aged woman in her 40s was envious at the sight. The husband saw it from the side and nodded his head for a while as well. This girl also looks good, and the young man is even sunnier. Lan Yu, who was passing by, heard this and her ears turned red. Why are you here? Wei Xiao looked at Lan Yu, who had come to her front, half turning the corner. My uncle's house is here. I'm staying there temporarily. Lan Yu had a red face and whispered with her head lowered. Before Wei Xiao could open her mouth, Yi Chen on the side couldn't help but interject. Brother, your friend? Wei Xiao raised an eyebrow, and Yi Chen immediately swallowed back his later words. What a coincidence, my friend lives here. She's getting married today, I told you before. Lan Yu nodded her head like a chicken pecking in a burst. I know, you told me about it. I really didn't expect that you would come so early. Wei Xiao let out a long sigh. I didn't expect it either, she called me so early. I originally thought I'd come straight to the banquet. Lan Yu snorted out a laugh at that. That must be too busy and short of staff. But you should be working hard today, right? Not hard, I'm on the women's side. If there's anything to move, it has to be the men's side too. I'm not doing it. Lan Yu thought about it and was right. Then will you be late today? Blue Joy asked with anticipation. Not sure, it should be okay. Wei Xiao thought about it and casually said. As soon as Lan Yu heard this, her eyes suddenly lit up. Then if you won't be too late today. Do you want to have a snack together? I'm on duty today and won't get off until 9:30. If you have time then, do you want to join me? Lan Yu asked with a nervous face with little stars in her eyes. Seeing this, Wei Xiao was just about to reject the other party. Yi Chen, who was on the side, but once again interjected. My brother doesn't have much going on lately, so it should be convenient. Yi Chen said cheerfully, not noticing in the slightest that Wei Xiao had already stared at himself. Really? That's great. Thank you. Why, what's the point? My brother, he just fell out of love. It's good to go out with friends more often to eat and drink. Yi Chen was aware of what happened between Wei Xiao and Chen Shui. He thought that Wei Xiao might have to meet his ex-girlfriend later, and his mind might have some problems. So he immediately helped Wei Xiao to accept this invitation so that Wei Xiao could rush into a new relationship. In a way, Yi Chen's emotional intelligence was also very high. How else could he chase after a girl as good as Xiao Qing? But Yi Chen was still a bit young after all. He didn't realize just how unique a man this cousin of his was. Wei Xiao took a deep breath and forced down the urge to strangle Yi Chen. Turning her head, she flashed a smile at Lan Yu. If nothing happens by then, let's get in touch again. A slight loss crossed Lan Yu's eyes, but she quickly said happily. Okay, then I'll talk to you after work. Then, I'll go to work first. As soon as Lan Yu finished speaking, she immediately ran away like a cheerful lark. The surrounding people were still staring this way. After watching Lan Yu's figure walk away, Wei Xiao suddenly turned around, the smile on her face instantly fading. You're smart now. All knowing to help me accept an invitation from a human girl. Yi Chen was still not clear that he was already in big trouble, and said laughingly. Brother, you also don't collapse too tight. The best way to get out of a relationship, wouldn't that have to be accepting a new relationship? Wei Xiao looked at Yi Chen and suddenly smiled. You're right. Yi Chen was also in the middle of being happy when he heard Wei Xiao suddenly add. Going back at night, you don't need to go back to your room to sleep. Go sleep on the living room sofa on the first floor. Well, good. What did you say, brother? I'm saying that your residency has officially been taken away from me. Starting tonight, sleep on the living room couch for a week. Do you hear me? Why, brother? No, why? Let you kid talk too much. I won't talk too much next time. That won't help, sleep through this week and then talk. After a small punishment for Yi Chen, Wei Xiao led him to the elevator. He was really dissatisfied with this kind of behavior from Yi Chen. Essentially, Yi Chen did the right thing. After all, he had just fallen out of love, and Yi Chen was also looking out for his love life, but the problem is, there are times when Yi Chen feels right. Wei Xiao himself does not feel right. It's like Zhang Haining. After people hit him, they have to give him compensation. Is Zhang Haining a bad person? No, she was kind. But this kindness is killing Wei Xiao. In order to firmly prevent Yi Chen from going down this dangerous path, Wei Xiao had to start early and provide a guide to Yi Chen. A correct path, although it tends to be a bit bumpy. However, Wei Xiao would definitely not allow Yi Chen to go astray. A few minutes later, in front of door number 16-08. The gate was still open at this time, but Wei Xiao knew. After another hour or so, this place would start to become the main battlefield. As soon as he entered the door, Wei Xiao saw Wang Lu in a red attire, busy greeting a few good girlfriends. That is, today's bridesmaids. Wang Lu had found 8 bridesmaids today. This was also the fact that Wang Lu was only 22 years old when she got married, marrying really early enough. None of her close friends have gotten married yet. The red traditional dress of Wang Lu, surrounded by 8 white wedding dress bridesmaids, was particularly conspicuous. Wei Xiao entered the house and first briefly greeted Wang Lu's parents on one side. Following that, he went up and flirted. Beautiful, brother Lu. Only Yi Chen, who was beside him, became much more well-behaved at this time, and just greeted him vigorously. The education Wei Xiao had just given him could be said to have made an immediate impact. This caused Wei Xiao to feel relieved for a while. And on Wang Lu's side, looking at the appearance of her best friend who hadn't seen her for a few months, Wang Lu was also happy for a while. But before she could walk to the front, Wang Lu's expression froze. Why didn't I realize before that you're such a good-looking kid? Among the 8 bridesmaids on the side, 3 of them knew Wei Xiao. All of them had been close friends for many years. At this moment, they also hurriedly said, Yeah, how come you kid has gotten so much more handsome after not seeing you for a while? These few bridesmaids who knew each other were quite good. After all, they were all old friends of Wei Xiao. But the other 5 bridesmaids who didn't know Wei Xiao in their hearts at this moment. Instead, a big scene began. This little brother, he's also too good looking, blah blah blah. Chapter 59, One Mountain is Still Higher. At the same time, when a number of bridesmaids who didn't know Wei Xiao were intensely moving in their hearts, Wang Lu had already started to get her hands dirty. She directly pinched Wei Xiao's face twice. The feel is not bad, it's a bit more tender than before. Say, did you go for plastic surgery? Wei Xiao pushed away the other party's hand that was still trying to reach over with a disgusted face and said in dissatisfaction, You just can't see that I'm handsome. Hee, old. This fairy is not that petty. Wang Lu almost broke out in her nature again, but she managed to stabilize herself at the last moment. Wei Xiao also couldn't help but laugh bitterly for a while. Before, the reason why Wei Xiao had called Wang Lu a brother was not without reason. This woman, removing the female features on her body. There was actually no difference between her and a man. It was even much tougher than many men. If you can do it, you will never push. Fortunately, Wang Lu had only learned 2 years of taekwondo and 3 years of sparring, and she was still halfway there. Otherwise, God knows if this woman can still marry herself off. Oh, that's not right either, people also married themselves off now, aren't they? This is also Wei Xiao's second confusion. Wang Lu husband, Wei Xiao has also seen an honest man, especially shy kind. Wei Xiao really did not understand is how to look at Wang Lu. But things have come to this, today will be the big wedding. Wei Xiao can only be in the heart, for the groom to pray. In the future, if there is any conflict between the two families, Wang Lu can't break someone's legs. Well, just don't break that leg between 24. Alright, you're married. You have to be more careful in the future. Wei Xiao looked at the happy look of his best friend who was about to get married, and his heart was somehow suddenly warmed. He was sincerely happy for Wang Lu. Remember to tell me if you get bullied in the future. I'll help you clean up that kid. Come on, just your little body. If I can't even beat Yi Shioxi, 10 of you won't be of any use. Wei Xiao laughed and didn't answer. Alright, you guys get busy, I'll just watch from the side. Call me if there's something. Come on, you eat some fruit or something, I'm busy. Wang Lu finished speaking and went back to greet the bridesmaids. A few of those who were familiar with Wei Xiao just looked at him a few more times and found it a bit magical. As for those who didn't know each other, they could only calculate in their hearts how to ask for contact information in a while. Let's go, let's both eat something first. Wei Xiao led Ji Chen to the fruit plate. There were quite a lot of things, but apples and stuff were still not very convenient. It was good that there were quite a few citrus and bananas. There were also cookies, bread, and the like. Wei Xiao and Yi Chen simply filled their stomachs and started the bystander behavior. Marriage is like this, when it's busy, it's especially busy. Idle up when. Hate to find some people to play 2 games of mahjong. On the woman's side, it is even more obvious. Wei Xiao sat on the chair and played with the cell phone. It is not quite accurate to say that it is playing. Wei Xiao mainly opened the website and looked for those recommended games sent by Ashu. He himself roughly searched the internet for videos and news about these games. It turned out that there were quite a lot of favorable reviews, just not much fire. After all, there were some good things. Without a recommendation channel, it was still hard to get very hot. For example, games and novels, there are too many new products that appear every year. No recommendation, no traffic, many people do not even know there is such a thing. This also leads to a lot of good quality products that are just buried. Wei Xiao watched nearly an hour of videos that were all about games. Following that, he saved the 3 videos that he was most concerned about. Afterward, if he had the chance, Wei Xiao planned to delve deeper into these 3 games, as well as the development teams behind them. Of course, this was all a matter for later. Wei Xiao was just simply conceptualizing and categorizing them at the moment. Wei Xiao hadn't finished watching the video for a while. The bridesmaids had also finished their work. Mainly chatting with the photographer to finalize some of the next game shows. In addition to the preparations such as hiding the wedding shoes and matching the juice. It must be said that these bridesmaids are really tough. Wei Xiao watched as a girl she knew suddenly lifted up her long skirt. Followed by the bride's wedding shoes with tape wrapped around the thigh. This operation to see the Wei Xiao a burst of dumbfounded, straight call good guy. This moment the groom and the groom's group came, it would be a ghost to be able to find. And there were 8 bridesmaids. If Wei Xiao did not recognize the girl who tied her wedding shoes to her thighs, I'm afraid he wouldn't have recognized her if he hadn't turned his head. Upstairs, the final work was in full swing. And downstairs, there was also a quick battle report. Coming. The groom's group has arrived. An older aunt suddenly voiced out, obviously having received the intelligence. Not a moment later, Wang Lu also received a flying message. Quickly, lock the door. Wei Xiao couldn't sit still at this moment, and hurriedly stood up. It couldn't be helped that everyone was old and excited at this moment. Although there's actually nothing worth getting excited about. But they couldn't help the atmosphere. For a while, the atmosphere could be described as quite warm. But what Wei Xiao never expected was what was about to happen in a few minutes. Not good, the best man group is coming up with hammers and shovels. For a while, the atmosphere in the room was a bit frozen. What the hell? Wang Lu's father was the first one who couldn't sit still. What did they bring those for? Not waiting for Wang father's words to fall, the elevator outside the door opened. Accompanied by that, were extremely booming shouts. Open the door, if you don't open the door we'll do it ourselves With this maneuver, not only Wei Xiao, but even a room of people froze. Good guy, bringing a hammer and shovel is to smash the door. It was also unknown who muttered a voice. For a while everyone in the house reacted. But without waiting for Father Wang to exit his mouth to remind him, a violent roar sounded. Open the door. If you don't open the door, it won't hold. Yeah, you guys better open up. There was a cacophony of noise as well as laughter outside the house. The people inside the house looked at each other in disbelief. This is fucking different from the usual door call as well. There really is a mountain to climb. Wei Xiao, who had just been surprised by the bridesmaids' maneuver, was only now able to see a true master. Red envelopes? What the hell was that? What red packet is needed after smashing the door down? Just when the sound of door smashing was getting heated and the scene was getting out of control, Wang Lu, the owner of the wedding, stepped forward. The master of the wedding, Wang Lu, stood out. Surname Yi, if you dare to smash my family's door, I won't marry today. Father Wang and Mother Wang listened with a frown plus dissatisfaction. However, their own daughter's temperament was clear to the two of them. Hurriedly going up to their daughter was a burst of persuasion. And outside the house, the groom, Yi Shouxi, who had been very apprehensive about this way of opening the door, was also the groom, Yi Ping. That is, the groom Yi Ping. This moment also completely panicked. Don't smash it. If you smash it again, Xiao Lu will really get angry. On the side, the elder brother, the second brother and a group of close friends, looking at the flustered Yi Ping, were also speechless for a while. Doesn't it usually look like the younger sibling is quite good at talking? It shouldn't be? Big brother Yian said in disbelief. But who knows, Yi Ping said with a serious face. That's because Xiao Lu isn't angry. If she's angry, it's a big deal.